We could probably talk about this like literally 24 hours a day.
Yes. Hello, everybody, as you're coming in. Welcome. Yeah, I sit here with the stream pulled up and ready to go. We've got this down now where we transfer from the premiere over to the live. So I have everything pulled up and ready to go. So we can just hit a couple buttons and boom.
Good.
Ready to go. All right. I feel like this week has been one of those weeks with the Idaho 4 stuff that it when I was first hearing about it, it didn't feel like a lot. But the more I thought about it, the more I felt like, well, that is strange. That's strange. It's strange about the cameras, the overall control, some of how Judge ruled in that hearing, the FBI showing back up at the house. I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I wonder if the state is chasing their tail in this situation.
Chasing their tail?
Yeah. Running in circles. And why I think that's important to point out is anytime you have an investigation where they're in a hurry to go nowhere, a lot of times you end up finding it's because there isn't much evidence to find. They're going in the wrong direction. Now, that's not a for sure thing. That's not 100%, but we've seen it happen before. We've seen it happen before many times. All right. Let's get the intros and welcomes going. Hello, everybody. And Malia will take over from here. I got to go to the bathroom again. I always got to go to the bathroom right in the beginning.
Okay. I'll just say hi to everybody real quick. Let's see who's in here now. Hey, Art of Deduction. Good to see you. Hey, Violetta. Yes, this is real live, Jaded. Welcome. Hey, J Ray. It's funny, people still get confused about this being the real live or that. That's a premiere. If it's the green background, it's always pre-recorded. Always. Hey, Heather. Hey, Cynthia. Good to see you. Hey, Annie or Anne. Hey, Heather. The third floor not being the main target is the only way the suspect would pass by DM. That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, the frat angle really has my brain ticking just because I feel like, we don't know for sure that the cops didn't fully go into that. We do know based on kind of know. It's not really confirmed that, Jack D got a polygraph.
No,
like these are all rumblings. It's not confirmed.
There's no evidence of any of this with it being locked down. Yeah,
but they did do quite a bit of. See, again, it's not confirmed that they talked to a lot of people around the area and interviewed a lot of people, but we haven't really seen like official evidence for any of that. To me, it feels like so far, the gag order and also the fact that we only have a PCA for Bryan, which means all of the evidence that points to somebody else won't be included in that. It will only be the evidence that points directly to this defendant, period, nothing else. It makes it so that it looks like they are not looking into that side, but have they at all?
I don't know. I think there's been mistakes here the whole time. And you know, what's funny is we see a lot of people, okay? We have a lot of people that watch our show, and we have a lot of people that believe that Kohberger is guilty and or partial guilt or a co-conspirator in this in some way, or just some sort of guilt and involvement. We have people that think he is the sole suspect that did everything, and then we have people that believe he is not guilty at all, and we have people that are unsure of that. Now, I think everyone can agree. There's very few people that I've seen come out and say, hey, this gag has been a positive thing. I don't think anybody thinks that this gag order is a positive thing. I think people that are on the side of police and back police, no matter what the circumstances are, back police think that this gag order created all the conspiracy and all the other things that they find negative in this situation. Then you have people who believe there's something going on here and something to question, that look at the gag order and feel like it's the state trying to hide things, which again is a negative thing. So I think you're right. I think the gag order has ruined
but also
the total trust in.
So yeah, I agree
Idaho.
with you. I agree with you. But up until the PCA, okay, we had all this. So the cops, they released a map showing exactly where the victims were that night, kind of mapping out where they were and then the time they got home. Even in those beginning parts where they would have learned there was a fight at Sigma Chi that night, even when they would have learned all that stuff, they did not disclose any of it.
No.
So it makes me wonder, like, I don't know.
I agreed. It's that
intentional. Did they even look at that?
That's literally why I put this in the video, was because that's literally what it feels like. You know, they have their sights set on their guy, and it feels like there's nothing that could change that. Mm-hmm. But we're going to get into it some more here after we do our intro. So hello, everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Talk Show, brought to you by Riot Podcast. Let me get this pulled up. Okay. And we're super stoked that everybody's here. We're super happy that you're all here hanging out with us. We are going to be digging into Idaho for tonight, going through all of the updates, talking about the grand jury and what it means for everyone on both sides of the aisle. People that look at this grand jury and think that Kohberger is innocent. People that look at this grand jury and feel like Kohberger's guilty. I want to go through all of it. I want to talk about all of it. I know there's some big questions around the potential conspiracy angle of this case, where people feel like things aren't being handled fairly or conducted in a fair manner. And to be honest, the grand jury and how it's managed in this state can already make somebody feel like that. But we'll get into all that here. For those of you that are new, we are on every podcast platform, literally all of them. This is Spotify I'm showing you here, and we are the True Crime Talk Show. So all these conversations, videos, and details that we're talking through on here get put on every podcast platform out there. So if you listen to podcasts on Apple, if you listen to podcasts on Amazon, on Google, on Spotify, on any of them, iHeartRadio, all of them, you can find us on there under the True Crime Talk Show. We are the True Crime Talk Show. I'm honestly surprised that name wasn't taken, but we got it, right? We are the one and only True Crime Talk Show. Now, we do have our long form podcast available on all those same platforms too, under Thought Riot Podcasts, the True Crime and Criminal Culture Podcast. And that is going to be your 3 to 5 hour podcast episodes where we go through everything true crime, and we go through it with you. So my name is Brendan.
I am Malia. Welcome.
Yes, welcome to the show. So this is really depressing, this picture here. I thought Bill Thompson supported us, and then come to find out, while I'm trying to search for some pictures for our thumb, I find out he actually doesn't like us, that he feels like we give him ulcers at his old age.
I'm sure he's a really nice man. Any man that looks like Santa's got to be a nice man, right?
I would hope so. I hope so.
Do you think he has little kids come up to him randomly, like at the mall and stuff, and be like, "Can I sit on your lap?" Or "I want this for Christmas, Santa"?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I do.
Probably just a grumpy old man like, "I'm not Santa. Santa isn't even real."
Did we get any solid questions coming in about the show, about the premiere?
Yeah, do you guys have any questions about the grand jury or anything? I found it really interesting looking into it, finding out what a grand jury's purpose originally was, like why it was made, why it's a thing. And honestly, it sounds incredible in theory. When you read about it, you're like, wow, if this was done right, this is a great tool for the people.
Yes, grand juries,
keep the government in check, assist the prosecution, the state, in getting convictions that are solid, that are just, holding everybody accountable.
Yeah, you know what it makes me feel like, though, is like, I can't help but try. So when there's a problem, when I'm looking at a situation, maybe it's the fact that I managed people for so long. I had hundreds of people underneath me where I was either training them or managing them. And maybe it's that makes me look at things in this way. But when I see a problem, I immediately try and find and go like track it backwards to find where the problem started, because that's normally where the fix is, right there. So when I look at this, and I look at the grand jury and see a tool that's supposed to be support and a shield and safety for the people, but it has been abused and misused and is now a weapon for the state against the people, it makes me wonder if the state and prosecution in the past, right? And remember, you guys, law enforcement at one time, statistically, based on all the science statistics that we could come up with between the 70s and 80s, over half of police in this nation were doing fraudulent things. I don't remember the details around it. I don't know if it's over half of the police officers or over half of the police stations, but there is a statistic. I will pull it. I probably should have pulled it up before I started saying this, but that over half of police were doing fraudulent things or conducting the law in an illegal way. It makes me wonder, did the grand jury start transitioning during that time to where the state's like, yo, this gives the people too much power. We got to change this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And yeah, maybe, yeah.
It's scary.
It is scary. I really think, like we were talking about in the video, that we really need to reform it. I think it could be a really good tool if there were more guidelines around it, where it couldn't be misused by the prosecution, where it's like this way to get an indictment without hearing any of the other side of the coin. Like, they are literally just fed biased information.
Yeah.
Period. That's it. The prosecution goes in there and says, this is the guy, this is all we got on him, makes it look like it's this bright, shiny coin, and that's it.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, yeah, here you go. Here's
Man,
your indictment.
it must have been a really good premiere tonight, because J. Ray was saying she kissed the premiere. It was so good. She was like, oh, this video.
Oh, thank you, Casey. Yep, definitely hit that like button. So no, Cynthia, nobody knows who those kids were running outside the house the night of the murders, and that little reflection you're talking about. We have no idea.
No idea. And you know, I think I've told most people this a couple different times, and even in the chat, when we came onto this case late, okay? When we first started the podcast, we were a variety show where we covered everything. We covered politics, we covered the top news, and we covered true crime. But we preferred true crime, man, and we just wanted to cover that more and more and put more time in that and less time in the others. So we just made the transition over here. Now, we went full-time true crime about 90 days ago, and that's really where we started digging our heels into Idaho 4, because how can you not right now? And we started seeing all these little things come out, all these little things pop up, and we knew right away that we have to start looking into the evidence, which is exactly what we started doing, was digging into every piece of Idaho 4 evidence one at a time. And all it's done is brought more and more questions up. For those of you that are new here, we've gone into the sheath, we've gone into the 4chan theory, we've gone into the drug theory, we've gone into the money and the college, DNA. I consider myself a cell phone expert after 15 years in the industry, working directly with cell phone towers and the accounts that are managed underneath them, working directly with corporate America. So Google and YouTube, that's how we have our contacts within YouTube to be able to help us out, circumvent, people that don't like new creators coming up. So what they'll do is they'll flag their account. We're just lucky to have a contact like that to help us out along the way. But that's how those came to fruition, is all because every corporation needs a cell phone company. There is no way around it. Most corporations supply their top managers with cell phone plans. And I was the guy who was helping set those plans up and make sure there's coverage in the places that they needed coverage. So in that comes a lot of experience. So the cell phone stuff we have down locked. We covered the Dr. Moore case. What are some other really big highlights in the Idaho 4?
I mean, we've done total timelines, we've done search warrants, we've done interrogation tactics that we feel could have been used against the survivors. Everything.
No, those interrogation tactics were used
for
sure.
4chan theory. But one thing I wanted to mention real quick is, yes, J-Ray and Art of Deduction, that's exactly right, that fraternities have an oath not to talk. And we have more evidence behind that we think is very relevant to this case and the way it's being handled, that we're going to be talking about. Are we going to talk about it tonight, or are we going to talk about it in the next video?
No, we're going to talk about it in the next video. We might even...
It's because
there's so much attention on the 4chan theory since we came out with that video. There's a lot of content creators that are coming out with their own videos on the 4chan theory now. Since that started resurfacing, really with our video and Drip Drop talking about it again, that we might need to do a Sigma Chi video on its own, and then another 4chan follow-up around some of the details we weren't able to cover in the first one. But the whole point of that statement was we've dug into a lot of this. So I feel like we have a pretty good beat on Idaho 4. And I don't remember where I was going exactly with that. But
well, don't you think you should mention the riddle?
What about it?
How I know Cluminati posted a video saying she solved it, and I don't think she was privy to this. She just knew what came from the interview, but that whole thing isn't originally what was posted.
Yeah,
originally.
So
Xana's mom got sent it, and then I think somebody sent her extra things added on.
There were, there were quite a few, but we'll go into that in the next one. That doesn't really have to do with the FBI or any of the court updates or anything like that.
Yeah, true. And I agree. It says a lot that 6 jurors wanted more information.
Yeah, well,
they're supposed to be running the show.
That says a lot, but it also says a lot to me around the around what grand juries are and how they're weaponized now. And that is very concerning. And I feel like this is one of those issues that, yeah, we love Cluminati too. We love all creators, you guys. We really, really, really do.
Hey, Crime Sleuthin. I hope you're doing well.
Oh, hey, Crime Sleuthin. Yeah, we love all creators. There's very few that we don't like. I just know that there's a lot of there's always so much tension in the true crime community where we try really hard not to add to that, but I think that people I'll just stop there. I don't it's pointless. It really is pointless to go any deeper into those details. But
no, we just want to support everybody.
Yeah.
We appreciate everything everybody does. Everybody contributes what they can. And everything's not so clear cut always.
We just want to support everybody, but some people I think they get nervous with a new creator coming out or something. I don't know, but like YouTube can connect dots where things come from, you know what I mean? And it's just interesting to see. I just don't want to open that door. But yeah, anyways. Yeah, I think, again, that goes to the weaponization of the grand juries. And I think that's a really important detail to highlight what you're saying, CH. Sorry, I should have highlighted that comment there. So not only is the defense not allowed to be present during the grand jury, it is only presented by the state and the prosecution, but it also has a lower bar. So if you guys don't understand like around that, okay, so look, when a grand jury used to be convened, it was convened because there was some concern that there isn't enough evidence to convict this guy. That's how it was originally supposed to be, or woman. I just by habit I'll say dude because I'm from Southern California. So convict this dude, which a dude can be a man or a woman. You know, some people
just say defendant.
No, I want to say dude is better because I've had multiple people comment where they're like offended that I said the word dude, but a dude is a guy or a girl. But so where they wanted to convict this dude, and so they would bring forward this evidence to have the people verify that they were on board to convict their fellow American. Okay, it is now completely backwards. Now, when the prosecution and or state feels like they don't have enough evidence to convict this person, they can now sidestep that trial and convene a grand jury with a lower bar of standard around evidence and bypass that hearing. It is so insane. Like, my mind was blown. I didn't know about this until you had brought it up, and then I started reading into it more, and I can't even explain how much my mind was blown. That is so shady.
Yeah.
So shady.
Yeah.
I almost can't believe that is a part of our justice system.
I can't either.
It's so manipulative.
Yeah, it is manipulative. That's how I feel about it too. I feel like the grand jury was formed for very good intentions, and now it is used almost always not for those intentions. It's used as a tactic.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious where you're from, SB, because in SoCal, everyone calls everyone dude.
Yeah, I call my friends dude that are girls.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
But yeah. Yes. No, I agree. And I think that we have very big issues here. And one of the things that I said earlier when we were watching the premiere was I don't know it. That's funny. East Coast. So you guys don't use dude like West Coast does?
No, definitely not.
What is the term there? I wonder. But
clearly it's a guy.
no, like an equal word that's comparable to dude. So I don't remember where I was going just now. Oh, with Judge. So with Judge, okay, I haven't necessarily seen anything that makes me feel like Judge isn't there in good faith, okay? So unfortunately, our justice system isn't written and or created in a way where opinion isn't filtered in through judging. No matter what, judges are going to be able to throw their own personal opinion into the laws and justice system and court cases and everything. There's no way around that. I wish there was. I wish it could be black or white. Now, I do think that Judge is good faith. I really do. I think he's there to try and do the right thing. I wouldn't bet my life on that, but I do think he's there to do the right thing. I'm just concerned, is he the right person where something isn't right? Does he have the ability to put his foot down and say, look, both of you shut your mouth. This is what we're doing going forward because this is in the best, this is what's best for the general public and or Americans of the US. I don't know if I've seen that yet from him.
No, I don't think we have.
And that makes me worried because I feel like if there's any case out there that needs that kind of tough love, hey, this whole situation is wrong. You're all wrong. I'm the judge, and let me tell you which direction we're going, you know? It's going to be this case, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it makes me worried that we have a judge up there in this situation that is more concerned with having the tension of the room brought down to a palatable level than he is with what is fair, just, and right.
Gosh, I really hope not.
I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Now, don't take me wrong, guys. That's why I preface this with Judge is acting in good faith. Me saying that doesn't mean that I don't think he's a capable judge. I think he is a more than capable judge. I think he's really smart. I think he truly cares about the law and the people in that courtroom. And I think he is doing his absolute best. But one important thing to remember is all people are different, and it takes a certain person to be able to put their foot down when everyone, a room full of 100 people, want this one thing, to be that judge to say, hey, I don't care what you all want. This is fair. This is right. And this is the way forward. Because we saw Judge in our video say, hey, it's an interesting argument. I believe that's above my head. And he also went so far as to say, I believe this is the law in Idaho. Is he a strong enough judge to put his foot down and say, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. I don't care how it's been done 50 years before me. This is what I believe the fair and just law should be.
Yeah. I
You
mean, I
know?
think judges should all be those type of people. It's probably not the
Uh,
reality of it though.
I don't know. You need different personalities for different types of cases, I feel like, because
Sure.
there needs to be some judge right now in the Delphi case. And there needs to be a little bit of that judge goal, it being able to put your foot down type behavior in the Idaho 4 case. You know what I mean? If you could mix their character traits up, leave the fraud, illegal stuff out, and I feel like we could get along much better
The
there.
Delphi case is just so sad right now.
It is. It's terrifying. It's terrifying.
This is a interesting thing to put up. CH said, remember, the U.S. and Liberia are the only two countries that use grand juries. You know what I'm curious to know is how many countries have used them and have stopped.
And have moved away from them.
Because it ended up not being just in the end. Ended up being a tool for the prosecution to convict when or indict when it's not warranted.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be curious to see that statistic too. I would be really curious to see that statistic too. Because I think this is the prime example of everything that's wrong with it. Really. And then you have places like California who has done away with the grand jury in this format. Now they have, I believe, I could be wrong here, okay? So don't quote me on this, but I believe every year they convene a grand jury of people, and I think it's like 20 something people, and that grand jury essentially audits cases in California. And that grand jury is trained and taught to make sure that they have the proper qualifications, that they know what they're looking for, and they know how to identify it and then fix the problem. I'm pretty sure.
That's pretty smart.
It is smart. It is. I agree. California's grand jury system. Okay, so I don't know how old this is, though. I guess I need to look at that first. In California law, the grand jury is an independent body made up of a specified number of citizens of a particular county whose job is to perform the following functions. Determine whether or not charges should be brought against you in a certain criminal cases, and inquire into matters of civil concern in the county, such as county officers' salaries and budgets and operations of county governments. In short, grand juries are an arm of the court. In this article, we'll focus on the first of these tasks. Okay.
Here, I want to send you something because this is really interesting. Apparently, the grand jury idea came from England originally, and it says exactly how the idea was even formed.
Okay.
And why they got rid of it.
Okay.
A long time ago. You just need to skip like the first paragraph of like political type stuff to get to the real meat of the grand jury thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're talking about a very political crime case and in the beginning,
sure.
And you just need to skip that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking grand jury, and then we're going to get into FBI back at the 1122 King Road house. Gosh, that's wild, you guys.
Yeah.
It's great that they left the house up.
Yeah, it's kind of scary knowing they're back at the house after they were like, yeah, just tear it down. Just
I know.
You know?
Yeah. So the grand jury is both the sword and the shield. Yeah, I said that in the premiere in that video, but it's really more of just a sword for the prosecution now at this point.
It is. There is no
Go back up.
shield.
So
Where?
here, right here.
The concept comes from the colonial parent England. It goes back centuries here, explains London-based legal writer Joshua Rosenberg. In medieval times, it was drawn from the local neighborhood, which, you know, the town square justice system idea, right?
Yeah.
And these were men who were expected to look around and report criminal behavior within the community. Wow. So like a community watch program was the grand jury.
There, yeah, like a neighborhood watch.
That's interesting.
It is.
They're people who actually knew the offenders, as we'd call them today, and perhaps bring them to justice. By the 16th century, that morphed into the system we'd now recognize as a grand jury, a group of people listening to a prosecutor's evidence and deciding whether to indict. But the United Kingdom actually abolished its grand jury system in 1933. Geez, they were on it. We now send cases that are serious enough straight to jury trial, Rosenberg says. That's smart, yeah. That way, both sides are able to present evidence. Okay, I got to highlight that. That way, both sides, and again, both sides are able to present evidence and make their arguments, which is definitely not the case with a grand jury. That is my biggest issue, is how can something be fair and just when you have one side?
Exactly.
I don't understand. It's not that hard. And then you have judge who comes forward and like, for me to pretend like I don't understand where he's coming from, it would be a lie. I get it. I understand his statement where he's like, hey, you know, that's an interesting argument. That's a respectable, or whatever he says.
Creative.
That's a creative argument. And what's interesting is I've actually had 3 or 4 cases that have been brought up around that issue, but I'm not here to change the law.
You didn't share it.
I'm not here to change the law.
There you go.
And this is how the law has been ran for the last 100 years. So I feel like that's above my head. That right there is what is concerning, okay? So he just said that he had 3 or 4 cases that have come up where the attorneys are saying, hey, judge, you're not using the grand jury right. This grand jury is being biased and used against my client to circumvent and get around the fact that there might not be enough evidence to convict or even go to trial here.
Yeah, I feel like if I were the judge sitting in on this, and hearing this argument and knowing what I know about grand juries, like I might actually go with the preliminary hearing. Like, okay, I'm not going to dismiss any charges, guys, but I will go back to like an evidentiary preliminary hearing where both of you can show your evidence and argue it out. And then, you know,
I'll make the decision from there.
Right. I'll make the decision from there. And even if he feels like there's still enough to, you know, for Bryan to be indicted, then you just go to a trial as normal. Like, I don't see what the big deal is just going back to that preliminary hearing.
No, I think that's a realistic outcome. I really do.
It's not going to happen here, though. It's
not. He made that very clear. But my big concern, and why I even played that whole image out in the beginning of this of the True Crime Talk Show, where I was asking the question, where I was begging the question, is Judge the type of judge that has the ability to put his foot down and say, hey, I don't care what has been. I care about what's right. And I don't know, based on his ruling in that hearing, if he's the person to do that. Because any judge that comes forward and tries to argue that, look, I'm not a judge, I'm not an attorney, but I'm confident enough in how our justice system was built and our Constitution and how the laws were created and fabricated to be a shield for the people, to say that's wrong how they're currently managing it. Because right now, Idaho has their law, and I saw someone say this. I apologize. I didn't want to lose my thought, but somebody was saying, to be fair, a judge can't change the law. You're right. A judge can't change the law. But what's interesting is that the judge is managing two different laws here. You have the written law, which is the actual law, and none of the judges are following that. They're following the workable law, which just means that all the cases for the last 100 years have been using the grand jury in this other way, not the way that the law's written. That's shady. Why are we not following the law that has been written and is the actual defining law?
Okay, well, the defining law is too general. That's part of the problem. But also, I think the other issue is that by reversing this grand jury indictment, going back to a preliminary hearing, the grand jury didn't need to happen. It didn't need to. So therefore, he could reverse it and go back to a preliminary hearing without changing any laws. I think where the flaw comes in
but then
is that the defense team should not have argued the validity of the law and the standard of the law, because then that's a Supreme Court issue, not a judge issue.
I mean, it's not.
It is because they're arguing the way this law has been interpreted. That's something the Supreme Court has to rule on. They just want their grand jury indictment reversed. So therefore, they should be proving that it's unfair that they didn't get to bring this evidence because they don't believe there's enough evidence to convict him. So we need an evidentiary or preliminary hearing to prove there's even enough evidence here to be going down this route to a trial.
I get where you're coming from, and I don't think you're wrong. However, Judge clearly stated word for word that I understand that the law says this. However, for the last 100 years, we've been doing this.
Right.
And that's my concern, is in one of the biggest cases that we have ever seen, why do we not have a judge that says, you know what, we're about to put somebody in front of, I don't know how many people are in a shooting,
firing
squad, but we're about to put somebody in front of multiple people with weapons and shoot at him until he is dead. I'm going to go make sure that what this law says is put into practice. I understand he's not there to change the law. I get it. But there is a big difference between the written law and the practicing law, or the law that's been used for the last 100 years.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are other avenues he can go where he can rule based on the interpretation without changing it. That's why I was worried, is how do we know that that's not just a way to get it a different avenue, an easy outcome, okay? And what I mean by that is, like, in sales, you can manipulate, like, if you're working with someone that doesn't have the same amount of experience as you, and your ultimate goal is to get from point A to point B, you can manipulate factors to make it seem like, well, what you're saying isn't true because of this, this, and this, okay? How do we know the judge isn't doing that in this case, where we don't need to go all the way to the Supreme Court to ask them to change the law that's written? It can just be taken back a couple steps to reinterpret to an agreed upon
No, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. And I think that he could do exactly what LA's saying here. When case law sets precedents, cited in motions, that's how he can change it. You can literally change the law by just working a case and setting a new precedent within the case.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have to go to a Supreme Court. That's why they're constantly citing case law in all of their motions.
So
is cases that involved these things in the past, and that's important. So if he were to do this, it could set the standard for the future.
Yeah, but to be fair, I'm trying to think of a way. I agree with you, LA. I think that's incredible input, and I appreciate that because I agree. However, I do think that could be problematic in this situation. With such a high profile case, you have a judge that is setting a new precedence. I see problems there
That's
too.
always when the new precedents are set, I feel like, is when you have a very important case.
Ooh. Yeah.
There's special circumstances surrounding a lot of high profile cases. I mean,
isn't it? I just think it's simpler than that. I think that the law has already been written to protect the people. And when you read the definition of what the grand jury is, there is no argument there. It is there to be the sword and the shield. Everywhere that I pulled up says that very, 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 very clearly. It is there to be the sword and the shield for a U.S. citizen, right? Or the person that's being charged in this case. It's obvious that the current grand jury does not have a shield. So obviously, the more simple outcome would be to reinterpret whatever their active law, their ruling law is, to make it the sword and the shield. Right?
mm-hmm.
And nothing has to change. You're not setting a new precedent at all. You're just upholding the written law. That's, you know what I mean?
So what, reconvene the grand jury and do it right?
I don't know. That's where
take the prosecutor out.
That's where my dummy knowledge ends. I don't know.
I think the only way a grand jury could ever work is if the prosecutor never stepped foot in the door. They were just given the evidence and they do their little investigation on their own. That's the only way it could ever work.
Or I guess an outcome here would be to go back to what's the original where they would have went to trial to see if they have a case. What's that called?
It's a preliminary hearing.
Preliminary hearing. Yeah, I think they should have. An outcome is to just go to the preliminary hearing.
That's what I've been saying this whole time, that he could fully within his rights. It would not be outlandish to just, now people may not like it. It may be controversial, but it's still within the law for him to do that.
And it still has the same outcome.
It still has the same outcome.
Yeah.
More than likely, he would still be going to trial. More than likely.
If they have the evidence there, absolutely, they would still be going to trial.
Probably.
If they have the evidence.
Yeah, if they can back up all the claims they're making.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So.
I just think it's all silly. I don't know why you just don't go back to a preliminary hearing.
I was missing that point. But yes, I absolutely think that is what should happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those 4 other cases that Judge is talking about, he probably should have made that ruling there too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just, it's disappointing. Excuse me. It's disappointing when I see somebody in such a powerful and respectable position, such as a judge for a state, and they don't have the confidence in the law to put their foot down and say, you know what? I don't care what all my predecessors have done before me. The law states this because it's here for the people, not for the prosecutors. So this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And maybe there's judge politics. I don't know. Maybe everyone would hate him because of that. I don't know.
Well, this is a good comment from CH here. I'm wondering if the legal system has gone due to awry due to the marriage of the law and politics. The U.S. is the only country that votes for prosecutors.
I think you're onto something, because we are also seeing the same tactics used in politics now used in our justice system for anybody that, you know, how many people like to come on here and throw around like, oh, our justice system is here to protect people and make sure that there's not a trial by media. Dude, every trial
It's a trial
is
by
a
media.
trial by media. Are you kidding me? There's no way around that.
Yeah.
The only way to fix that is to lean into it. You will never lean out of it. The days of the 1970s and 1980s with these big high profile national cases that everyone knew about and wondered what was going on and waiting for it to get their Sun paper, New York Times paper to read about what's going on. And those days are gone, dude.
Yeah.
They are never coming back. Ever. Never. There is absolutely no way you are taking billions of phones, tablets, computers, laptops, and everything in between out of the world's hands. That's not happening.
Nope, it's not. And I think we just need more transparency now, or else you're going to have everybody not having trust for their justice system.
I'm not sure if anyone answered you, April, but they do not need to be unanimous.
No,
they do
need,
not.
Like, I think it depends on the state, but I think it's like 12 or 13
in
or
Idaho.
Something like that.
Yep.
Uh,
So in Idaho, the goal is 23 jurors with a minimum of 12 voting yes. So at just over 50%. Yep. At least that's what the law was that I was reading in the Idaho, whatever. I forget what the site's called right now, but it's some .gov site that you can cite different laws and rules and
yeah,
whatnot.
I think they should also always do a preliminary hearing for real.
I agree. And I feel like that's what the grand jury was originally meant for, was if there was a problem. And now it's used as a weapon where the prosecution is like, and that's one thing too. So you know how a lot of people like to say, well, they have a lot more evidence. If they did, why did they convene the grand jury? Just out of curiosity, is there some kind of other factor I'm missing here where a grand jury helps paint the image of guilt that will help the prosecution? Or is the grand jury only brought up when there is no evidence?
So I know the answer to that. So I was listening to this lawyer, and I don't remember her name. She was just on a news thing where she's a practicing lawyer in Idaho, and she was talking about the case, and they were talking about the grand jury, and she said she was not surprised at all when they took it to a grand jury. She said that's standard in Idaho, especially with a case like this. They always go to a grand jury because it's quick. It's easy and it's quick, basically. And I was like, whoa, that's horrible. That's a terrible thing to say.
No wonder why they have so many problems in their justice system.
Yeah.
You probably, so think of the other factors that this affects. If they always go to grand jury because it's quicker, then that means the cops will start depending on that lack of evidence. That means prosecutors will up their salesman tactics to where they're in front of these jurors and start using techniques to sway them into what they want. I'm just blown away that the prosecutor can even be present. I'm seriously blown away.
After reading the intention of the grand jury, I mean, it sounds like back in the days, a lot of times prosecutors weren't there. That even in some instances, the prosecutors and defense was both there. Like, it sounds like originally it may have been a good thing. It's just like any good thing. It can be turned into the worst thing. You know what I mean? It can be used as a weapon.
Yeah.
That's what happened here.
Well, it's awful and it needs to be changed because it's unfair and it's not okay, in my opinion. And I think this just adds to the problems that we're seeing. I really do. I really do.
Yes, and most indictments do lead to a guilty verdict. And I hope that's because the people are actually guilty. I really hope so.
Look, we've said it almost every live when we're talking about Idaho 4 and most of our videos, but we hope Bryan is guilty. We hope they got it right because if they didn't, that's a terrifying situation that you're now creating a fifth victim here, and you're putting public at risk with a killer or killers out in with their freedom, with the ability to do these crimes again.
So yes.
Yes, Malia is in Sigma Chi. Absolutely.
What? It's only for men. But yes, I think Bryan could still ask for an ex parte hearing, and I think his defense has already had one in the past, at least one.
I think they've had 3.
3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Someone fact check me because my memory is not that good, but I think they've had 3.
Yeah, everybody's in Sigma Chi. Everyone. Yeah, you can't have a lawyer if you're called to testify in a grand jury. I know. That's odd, huh? If you're called as a witness to testify, you can't have representation.
Well, it's because you're being the questions you're being asked are by your peers. It should not be by a prosecutor or anyone involved in our justice system. So in that regard, I feel like it makes sense, right? Because technically, based on what the outline of the grand jury is, it should just be your next door neighbor. You know what I mean?
Right.
It should just be your fellow Americans asking you questions.
And yes, that's exactly what it is, Allie. It is one-sided, and that's the issue with it. And that's why we're highlighting that, the United States and what is it, Liberia or whatever, are the only countries in the world that continue to use grand juries. And here in this article, we were talking about how it was originally formed in England, and they abolished the grand jury system in 1933, and along with many other countries abolished it. We're just still here.
Yeah, and
still here using it.
That's so interesting. What a more fair system that is by saying if you have enough evidence, we can actually move this straight to trial without doing the prelim. So what that does is creates a situation where police are now focused on getting an overabundance of evidence. How can that be a bad thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
It can't be. It's impossible. All that does is bring good to the table. That's only a positive thing. We want Gilgo-style convictions. We want Gilgo-style charges brought against the suspect because the evidence against them is that good. That good. It's just wild stuff, man. It blew my mind. My mind is still blown right now. I don't understand it.
And yes, Annette, it is true the FBI returned to the home. We're going to get into that here in just a few. Yeah, I think that waiving the right to a speedy trial, it's neither here nor there for me. I didn't want it to happen personally. But if it made the most sense to the defense, then it did. I mean, like a lot of lawyers waive it right off the bat. And then you have other lawyers that are like, no, we should just get it done quickly so that, they can't collect more evidence. But say Anne really feels that Bryan is innocent, then they can't get more evidence because he's innocent in their mind. So, we got to work on building this defense strong enough that it's going to be solid. I don't know.
So here's a couple theories with that, you guys. And I know that we're going to talk about the grand jury theories with multiple people. Multiple people have brought up the fact that they think the grand jury was just staged in this. And I think there are good arguments around why that isn't the case. Now, with the speedy trial, okay, there's a couple different ways that this can be approached. If I was a defense attorney, and I'm not, but if I was, I look at that situation and a good example is like you're playing poker against the prosecution and the state, okay? You want them to show their hand, or as much of their hand as you can get. So I think one approach and way of doing that is by making it look like you are going to go with the speedy trial and pay attention to the technique and approach that the state or prosecutors are taking to get ready for the speedy trial, and then pull it off the table last minute, knowing what you believe their hand or believe or think their hand would be.
You do realize that the prosecution is supposed to give everything, all discovery, everything. They're not supposed to hold anything back.
I do.
And the defense is the only one that's allowed to hold things back.
Well, I mean, it can be agreed upon for things that end up not being in the trial or not being in the case. But yes, I know. But the big deal is that wasn't happening. So I think that is why some people have issues with Judge is the fact that Judge allowed the prosecution to hold on to said evidence, right? Said discovery or whatever it's called, the official word for it, without pushing the speedy trial date back. A lot of people did not feel that was very fair.
Wasn't fair.
I don't think it's fair either, and I think that there are a couple different theories and approaches in this situation. While you have the defense who is trying to get an understanding of the hand of the prosecution in this situation, you also have the prosecution who's pushing back against the defense to see if they can get that speedy trial off the table. And I think I think that ties right into the FBI showing up at the house, because I think based on the FBI showing up at the house, I think the prosecution has changed their approach since they took the speedy trial off the table. And I don't know if you remember this, but I said this from the beginning, that the prosecution's whole reason for being up until this point was to get the speedy trial off the table. I think every single thing that they've done was done with the intent of getting speedy trial off the table.
Yeah, I think it was too. And now I hear arguments being made that the state actually didn't want them to waive the right to speedy trial.
Oh, yes, they did.
And I feel 100% that they did.
Where did you hear that? It's so obvious that the prosecution wanted that off.
It is obvious.
Like, very obvious.
Just a few creators, okay? Just talking, saying they almost like don't trust Ann Taylor now, and they, there's this thing going around right now, guys, where people are like anti-Ann Taylor all of a sudden, and they think that the state wanted the speedy trial, and Ann Taylor's like, she went to the University of Idaho, so they think that she's not going to be good for his defense anymore. It's a whole thing going around, but like a virus. I don't know. I think here's what I know, that defense attorneys are incredible. They're the only ones fighting for rights, okay, in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And, I heard Bob Motta talking about this because of everything that's going on with Delphi. And I agree with him on that. Defense attorneys really do fight for rights. Like, they are the pioneers in that.
Yeah.
And I think it would just be, I don't know. I don't want to like disparage Ann's name in any way. I feel like she is a good lawyer. She's got a ton of experience, and
you really think
she's death penalty certified. And I don't think her going to a university that the victims went to is going to bias her to the point that she is going to automatically assume Bryan's guilty just because she went to that same university and has some kind of allegiance to it.
Yeah. So here's another thing is Bryan was going for his doctorate in criminal justice. Okay. So to think that he hasn't had courses and classes around law and the legal system and collecting evidence to best serve a case, I think would be wild. And I think if Ann Taylor was there doing things that were not beneficial for Bryan, I think Bryan would pick up on that, you guys.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
not seeing any signs of him being uncomfortable, unhappy, disdain. I mean, they still smile and flirt and, lock eyes and Google eye each other. I'm totally joking, obviously. But
Is that why his fly was down? I'm just
right.
kidding.
Um,
It's a total joke.
but I think we would see signs obviously coming from him. He's not a dumb guy. He was going for his doctorate. He had already completed and worked towards bachelor, masters, and going for the doctorate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that she's some mole. Is that what they're trying? Like, she's a mole for the state? Come on.
Like everyone is on the same playing field. Like Ann Taylor, the prosecution, and the judge are all in cahoots to bury this guy. I don't think so, man. I really don't. I really don't.
I feel like that's one of those situations where people look, I feel like we should be very careful, okay? I never want to tell anyone what to do. I despise that. That's something, it's a pet peeve of mine.
We are no authority.
Like that. Yeah, I don't like that. So sometimes I'll start to do it by habit because I manage people for so long, but then I'll flip it around. So I feel like I need to be very careful to make sure that the focus stays on the police and the investigation and the handling of this case and off of Kohberger. Kohberger is not important. He doesn't mean anything in this. I understand that he's at risk of becoming a fifth victim if he is not guilty. I get it. But what is going to clear him and or prove he did it or did not do it is the total and complete focus on the investigation and the case at hand. So by focusing on him like Bryan's a victim because Ann Taylor's a mole and this and that, I personally feel like that would be a waste of my time. I feel like the only time that I have to spare is digging into the evidence to see what that evidence tells me.
Like Delphi, kind of. Like the whole reason the defense got out their theory of the case is because they feel like their defendant is truly innocent. So they focused on the investigation.
Right. Absolutely.
All the flaws in the investigation.
Absolutely.
So Ian had a question. Do we know if the defense has the ability to do an independent investigation of the house? If only state investigates, that creates issue of bias. Didn't they go to the house?
They did. Yeah. So
Yeah.
one interesting thing is I know one detail that people like to throw around about Bill Thompson being there. Ann Taylor was there very early in the beginning also, you guys. Very, very, very early in the beginning.
Before BK was?
I believe so. Now, don't quote me on that piece, but I believe so.
Okay, now I'm starting to believe the conspiracy theories that she's in cahoots.
No, get out of here. That's no way. Again, going back to it, Bryan doesn't have a problem with her.
Yeah, the defense did not drag it out. The state did. They weren't turning over evidence fast enough.
Right.
They have to have time to go through all of it. Like, they have to dig through all of it, form their theory of the case and their defense. That takes time.
Yeah. And there's this idea that people that believe Bryan's guilty are like, well, why isn't he like standing on the rooftop shouting, I'm innocent? You know, look, that is not a sound defense of your innocence. What is a sound defense is creating an intelligent defense against the charges that the state is saying that you committed, not shouting at the rooftops you're innocent. They need to prove that he had nothing to do with this. I understand that it shouldn't be like that. I get it. Innocent until proven guilty. I hear you. However, we're dealing with a character assassination case.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the defense needs to prove he didn't do that. And that's why I feel like we need to take control of cameras in the courtrooms. If you get ahead of this, then you wouldn't have to deal with character assassination, in my opinion.
I mean, I think they had already spoke ahead of time, Allie. I don't think that was an on the spot decision whatsoever. Um, that's just my opinion, though. It seems like it was something they would have gone over, and I definitely don't think Bryan would have waived his right to speedy trial if he did not think it was a good idea and they had not spoken about their tactics. Like, what's our plan? Waiving this right, what does that mean for you? What does that mean for the case? Like, I guarantee they went through it all. And he said that actually the judge asked him that question, did you speak like with your team or whatever? Like, they do all those questions.
Yeah. And just remember the amount of schooling that Bryan has on these topics, you guys, on this subject. I understand that law is different than criminology, but they run hand in hand together. So a lot of times when you're learning how to be a proper investigator, or work in law enforcement, you need to understand how to do that within the bounds of the law. So there is some knowledge of both there, and I just don't think that you would be able to just pull one over on him.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I really don't. And that is a fair point that some counties in the country are that way, where the prosecution, usually I don't see that at a case of this magnitude, though. Where the prosecution, the defense, and the judge are all like friends, know each other, family, maybe even, and they're all working together to get somebody convicted. I usually see that on lower levels of court, where you're dealing with like misdemeanors, or cases that aren't going to trial. Because I have experienced that. But in this case, I don't think that's what it is. But
this is a career make or break case.
And people were saying that in our chat too, that this case is everything for her career. And
for sure,
Bonnie just said Ann Taylor's found corruption before and got people. Basically, she's found corruption within the police department before,
which that's incredible. I think that says a lot too. And maybe that's one video we could do as a deep dive into Ann Taylor, to help give people a better understanding of some of that background and what she's done in her career. Most of lawyers' backgrounds and experience are public records, so that would help me understand.
So,
hey, now the state did send over a photograph of the disk drive. That was one of the most ridiculous things I have ever seen in my life. That's like you guys being like, hey, Brendan, I need that video so we can edit it for you. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I sent you a picture of this. It's the video. Real usable. Crazy.
Ashley Banfield has been a little bit more tame, but she still makes some crazy claims sometimes. I know. The whole shouting from the rooftops thing, I don't agree with that whatsoever. I think it's kind of ridiculous that people think that a defendant should be shouting from the rooftops. We don't see that in any case, really, and that's because they're listening to their lawyers usually, and the people who aren't end up looking bad. Anything you say can be used against you. Like, there's a reason that's said to you when you're arrested. Know that anything you say can and will be used against you. So if you say anything that contradicts anything, if you say anything that makes your character look bad, then your whole character can be brought up in court, and you'll have character witnesses just to comment. It's like the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. That's what it would be like if we start bringing that kind of stuff into this. Is you're going to have people coming in and say, oh yeah, Bryan, we're going to have the girl who got tickled by Bryan on the stand talking about how much of a weirdo he is, instead of like real evidence. We don't want the character witnesses. We don't want the character assassination or the character fluffing. We want the facts. That's all we want. That's why the defense never ever says my client isn't the type of person who would do this, because then that brings to question their character.
Yeah.
It's just not smart to go out and start shouting from the rooftops. Never smart. Did I say Amber Hood? Did I? Amber Heard, yeah.
Amber Hood rat.
She is a little hood rat.
Sure seems like it.
Yep, exactly, Heather. The stuff that matters. That's what we want to hear in court.
All right, you guys, I'm posting a couple links here because all of our social media is /Thought Riot Podcast. That's at Facebook, that's at Instagram, that's at YouTube, that's at everywhere and everything all at once, except for Twitter. Twitter is Thought Riot Pod. And so we are slowly building the Twitter up. Twitter is one of the easier platforms to use where you can connect some of the videos and post it and share and things like that. So go ahead and give us a follow on there, and you can keep up on all the news, the breaking news, the videos that are coming out, and everything in between. Yes, that second link is the membership. We have the most members right now than we've ever had, in the hundreds. So come hang out, join the fun, and you will be able to get the members' videos. I'm going to be coming out with one of the personal stories about some of my past background stuff, criminal type behavior that has made me interested in true crime and have the experience that I have today. So that's coming out. We also had another live video that came out a week ago or so, and it's a good time, and we love our members, and yeah, come join in the fun.
Can you highlight Amber Turd now?
Oh, yeah. Where is Amber Turd?
I love that. I loved when everybody started calling her Amber Turd. It tickles me to a spot that is unreachable by anything else I've ever heard. I just love it. She pooped in his bed.
Okay, I'm sorry. One more link, you guys, because this is Discord, okay? And for those of you that don't know, I just want to clear something up with Discord. Discord is a chat. It is free. There is no money exchanged in Discord. You do not pay to join anything in there. No. It is a group of people that want to engage in continued conversation. We have multiple creators in there. We have a tab, or I don't know if I made it yet. If I haven't made it yet, I'm going to, where all creators can post their stuff in there. Okay, we are good with promotion in that promotion tab where, you can post your videos. We are one community, okay? The true crime community is one community, and that is the invite link right there. So go ahead and join that Discord, and we are in there under Thought Riot Podcast and Brendan and Malia. And just so you guys know, too, we're going to be looking for some help on the podcast. We have some, and we will be looking for others and more, and other people that specialize in other things and whatnot. So that's where we're going to connect with people who are interested in doing more with us. So all positions do have some form of payment to them. We haven't figured those details out yet, but just so you know, we just couldn't ask for people to help out without paying something, But yeah, anyways, join on there, and we appreciate all you, and we'll get back into it here. So FBI.
Yeah. So
closing statements on.
No, I think the court hearing, I think the argument from the defense was, It was pretty good. I just wish they didn't focus so much on the way the law was written, because I already knew that was going to be a fail from the beginning, because that's not what matters to anybody who's been using that. The judge, the prosecution, that's not going to strike a chord. Well, it was written in these general terms, and generally it means this, but you've been using it like this for the past 100 years, and that's not correct. Like, it's not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
I think the only way to move forward is to abolish grand juries, or in this specific case, just take it back to the preliminary hearing. Just do it.
Yeah.
Make the jump. I mean, everybody is questioning this evidence.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a solid case. I feel like that it would be good faith to do that.
Yeah. I agree. Now,
it's not going to happen, though.
For me,
it will not.
One thing that I hope to see, and what's interesting is I know we've had a lot of people, I don't know if it's true or not, you guys, but I've had multiple people, probably in the double digits, like 10, 20 people that have reached out to us and been like, hey, this expert video on this was awesome, I sent it to the defense. Or, hey, your comment on this was awesome, I sent it to Fry. Or, hey, this was awesome, I sent it to whatever. So one statement I want to make is, if somehow Judge ever sees this, one thing that I feel like we all want to see is a judge that fights for the law for the people, not for the law for the prosecution. The state and prosecution have the power in all of these situations. They do. They are a part of that blue blood mentality. They are buddy with the cops, the DA, the prosecutors, the judges, and everything in between. And I think it's really important for us to be able to take a stand and fight for the people in any given situation. And I would have loved to seen further digging into the questions around the defense team's concerns with the grand jury trial. I think he felt like he was being respectful by letting him know, hey, this is a good argument, and I will support this argument going up to the Supreme Court. But I do feel like more could have been done there. I really, really, really feel like more could have been done for the people.
He could have just taken it back to a preliminary hearing. He could have done that. He could have.
Yeah.
He would have been fully within the law doing it.
Yeah.
But so I think it's too much of a leap. I think it feels like too controversial, like Ian was saying earlier. Like acting like it's going over his head, acting like, I only follow, I only like interpret the law, I don't make them, is a thing that they say to avoid accountability, to avoid making that decision that they know would be extremely controversial.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that's why I'm saying is, look, their judges are supposed to be for the people. And those are one of the positions that I look up to. Our lawyers, our defense attorneys, our judges. I expect these people to be in their position fighting for the general public, for the Americans. And in situations like this, I feel like it needs to be proven and stated very clearly that, look, I'm not here to help the prosecution. I'm here to defend a potentially innocent person that the state is going to prove is guilty. And I understand that is not how the law has been managed and or ran, but there's no reason why it can't start. I think that is so telling that he came out and said, look, I've heard this argument probably 3 or 4 times. Okay, so why in 3 or 4 times I wonder if that's 3 or 4 different attorneys? Because if you have 3 or 4 different attorneys bringing up the same argument, then hey, somebody needs to take the charge on this, and somebody needs to change how it's done. Because if he found that argument interesting, I think he feels like there could be something there. Okay, well, if there's not a better time to do it than now, when you have somebody that could be potentially put against the wall and fired at, just something to think about for the future, you know?
Yeah. Bonnie corrected you earlier. So he hasn't heard 4 arguments in his court. He just means there's 4 cases like that exists where this has been brought up. Which I think is what he said. But this whole grand jury thing is not a new argument that it's unjust. Like,
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it was him.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to go back to watch it to know for sure. But I was just showing that.
Oh, yeah.
It's not new.
Do you need this?
I wanted to
because it's
what? I just wanted to mention here again for anybody who's new and just hopped on is that, the UK abolished the grand jury system in 1933 for this exact reason, because both sides weren't presenting evidence and making their arguments to the grand jury, and it was biased. It was one-sided, and that isn't just. And we are one of only 2 countries in the world that still use the grand jury system. And it isn't being used the way it was intended for, where, these grand jurors are people like you and me who can go investigate this case themselves, interrogate witnesses, the whole 9 yards. They can go out and do that stuff and decide, is there really something here to indict this person, holding a government accountable so that it doesn't become oppressive, and also helping get justice for the prosecution, for against the right defendant, making sure that indictment is warranted. But hey, Elliot, I wanted to say hi. Sorry, that was long-winded. You said that a minute ago. But glad to see you. Everybody remember, Elliot is legally blind. So if you are replying to him in the chat, make sure you tag him so it reads it to him so he knows you're talking to him. But really glad to see you and hope you're doing well. And hello to everybody else who's hopped on.
Yep.
All right. Are we ready to get into the FBI stuff? What?
Okay. So I just wanted to see, because that matters.
I think I've had 3 or 4 district judge decisions denying the motion.
Yeah.
So
what?
He just said I've had 3 or 4 district judges denying the motion.
4 district judge decisions denying the motion.
So he's had 3 or 4.
So
I've had 3 or 4 judge district decisions.
Where he's making a judgment.
Okay.
Okay. So FBI, right?
Yeah. So I sent you a video earlier that was on the news that was pretty informative.
How long is it?
It was pretty short. I texted it to you.
Is it in here?
No, I texted it to you.
Oh.
I thought you would pull it up, but I can do that and email it. It's this one.
Okay. How long is it?
3 minutes.
Okay.
It's very informative for 3 minutes.
Sure. What is it? Krem
2 News. KREM 2 News. And it was posted 1 day ago.
Okay. Do you see it? Oh, geez. Yeah.
Here, it shows the house.
Right here?
Yep.
Is that
That's it? That's it.
Okay. This has music.
Okay, so skip that part.
Tonight, FBI investigators wrap up the first of 2 days they're spending at the Moscow home where 4 University of Idaho students were killed nearly a year ago. They're on site today and tomorrow to collect visual and audio data that'll help construct a model of the home. KREM 2's chief journalist Amanda Rowley joining us now live from Moscow tonight, where the FBI has just left for the evening.
Well, since the trial for the Moscow murder suspect has been delayed indefinitely, the FBI is taking advantage of this extended time to gather measurements of their own of the home to construct a model. Now, throughout the day, we saw crews gathering images coming in and out of the home and even bringing out what's left over as far as personal belongings and moving them outside. The home where Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonsalves were killed 1 year ago still stands. Today, the plywood securing the windows and door of the house has been removed, and a specialized team with the FBI are on site collecting measurements and images. They launched a drone over the house this morning and appeared to be collecting images using 3D scanning technology. This will all be used to construct a model of the home. We won't learn much more about what the FBI is doing because it's still an ongoing investigation. So I asked Idaho's former state attorney general and county prosecutor, David Leroy, what he makes of this collection of evidence.
In this instance, it appears that the prosecutor is going to put some significant emphasis by virtue of a model and videos in terms of helping the jury understand how an alleged perpetrator might have moved through the house to get in, to go to whatever is alleged to be the first crime scene, to pass then to the second crime scene.
We noticed investigators are using Faro 3D laser scanners. The company's website says this technology can be used by law enforcement and prosecutors to reconstruct a crime scene and present it in the courtroom.
This is the diagram of today's courtroom. Everything you see here is measurable.
A demonstration video from Faro's website shows a few different ways to present the images, including a flyover view or virtual view of the scene.
But most importantly, you can create a specific viewpoint. What did that first responder see? What did that witness see? Or what could the witness maybe not see from that perspective?
It's not clear what version will be used in this case, but Faro's demonstration does give some insight into the possibilities. Now, in the meantime, the house will be re-secured once the FBI is done here as early as tomorrow. Now, the university says it still intends to demolish the home, but it does not plan to do that this semester.
Interesting.
They said they don't plan to do it this semester.
Yeah.
That's the end. So I thought that was really interesting, learning more about the scanners and exactly what they're going to be doing with it. But they only showed the digital model. They're going to be building literally a physical model that they print, I'm assuming, with like 3D printers.
Okay.
There's going to be a physical model they can literally bring in the courtroom that is the jurors can look at in the courtroom. You know, here, let me I want to
Okay.
So I learned quite a bit. I didn't get to finish it, but I learned quite a bit from somebody who did, okay, it's Duty Ron is his channel. I believe he's past law enforcement. He had somebody who actually works with these scanners who used to work for this company. And
I've used these scanners before.
You have?
For flooring stuff. They're just all automatic. Everything is all uploaded into a software.
One thing that they said that I thought was interesting is that it is like a smart thing to do to take these 3D scans when the crime happens. So when the bodies are still there, okay, first responders, like what they see. And then after all of it is cleaned and moved, then come back in to get the evidence, like to scan it without all of that there. So then you have that additional layer.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts on this? I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure what to think.
I immediately go to...
They don't have enough?
No. I immediately go to, I think they're changing tactics now. I think this is the prosecution potentially changing tactics. And because we've seen a lot of people come out, a lot of content creators have come out and said, why now? Why wouldn't this have been done already? Well, if they didn't need this evidence for their original tactics around a speedy trial because they were going to lean into character assassination and a different approach, they now have the time to change that tactic to something that might be more reliable, proven more reliable, or something that is more evidence leaning. I don't know. I don't know if there's something shady to it. Has this been done by the local law enforcement and not FBI? And now this is the FBI coming in to verify this. I don't know. I think it could be either one of those.
Yeah, they did it. They did do measurements early on in the case. They did. Now, was it not good enough? Wasn't it not high enough resolution? I don't know. But I thought that was interesting on Duty Ron's channel, talking about how it could be beneficial to do it before and after to get an additional layer. I wonder if they're changing
If the FBI
tactics as
did
well.
it before,
I think it was local before.
Then I would assume this is something completely different, that it is not a 2-layer. Because if it was a 2-layer, you would just repeat the same process to have a more in-depth model. But if the FBI didn't do this before, which to my understanding they did not, the FBI has not been involved except to manage or to check and verify the evidence that local has given them. They've been the science help, essentially.
How do you think this helps with pinning it on Bryan, though?
Well,
I don't think it does.
I don't necessarily think that. I'm not 100% bought in that it is being pinned on Bryan. I think that there are people that believe that he's guilty. Hopefully.
I'm saying, how does this support his indictment, his charges? How does this support the theory that he is the one that did this?
Well, okay, so if I go down a tinfoil rabbit hole here and say, let's just pretend for a second that that they're setting up Kohberger. Okay, let's just go down this rabbit hole that they're all setting up Kohberger, multiple people involved, and they're pinning it on him. Having this 3D modeling will give them the ability to run tests on the crime scene to find out how he could have done it in under 8 minutes. And then backfill evidence to verify that. But again, that I'm just going down that possible theory. I don't think that's the most likely theory, because I think 1 or 2 officers in reality could change the whole dynamic and exterior facing look of a case to make it look like it's a conspiracy. And that's more likely than a whole town being against one guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think there's a chance that they're investigating somebody else too, though?
I would hope so. I hope so. Otherwise, they're not doing their job.
Yeah, I don't think they can prove. I don't think they can prove anything by just having a 3D model of the house that is specific to Kohberger. Now, I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense about the time. Them figuring out, running tests, seeing, how quickly someone could get in and out and commit this crime. And obviously it would be helpful to have all the blood splatter, all of that evidence in one 3D model that you can look at and it helps form a better theory. I guess.
It does.
When you have it there forever, which is, I guess, nice that they're going to have this there forever. Even if the house gets demolished, we still have a copy of the crime scene, like down to the letter.
Yeah. No, that is nice. For let's say if something happens and they go out to appeal later on, that's going to be beneficial for all of those things. Now, I do know that in science around investigations and crime scenes, it is super beneficial to be able to recreate the crime, right? So maybe they'll go to a warehouse and run tape on the ground to mimic the crime scene based on measurements, have somebody run in, okay, so this is /1, /2, stab 3, you know what I mean? And recreate that.
Like Dexter.
Yeah.
We need Dexter on the case, guys.
Yeah. I have a Dexter costume.
So I think we should pull up what CH just sent us on Discord.
Yeah. For
It's
sure.
the first Pharaoh scan that they did. Thank you for sending that, CH. That's great. I did hear that they did it initially too. I just don't know if it's the FBI or if it is. Yeah, does this tell us? No. Do you have a link, CH, to tell us like who conducted the first scan? If it was local LE or if it was the FBI, or because I feel like that matters. Who did it initially? Yeah, they can't recreate it to a T as far as the survivors, but they can recreate the way they found it. Like when the first responders walked in, where the bodies were, where the evidence was, things like that. They can recreate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pharaoh is a subcontracted company, right. But is that always FBI? Or can the Moscow PD subcontract them in? And if that's the case, then they could probably use both scans first and what FBI wanted and put it together.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think of that. I didn't realize that it was a subcontracted company. So yeah.
It was a private team, but defense. So the defense ordered a Pharaoh scan.
Got it.
Interesting. Yeah. They're the company that actually comes and does it, I thought, though. Are they just the developer? So like you just purchase,
like this guy here.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like a law enforcement officer.
No, he doesn't.
He just looks kind of thin for law enforcement, but yeah.
Hold on, let me look.
Yeah, Cozy, and I agree with you. Here, I think that we're seeing a change in tactic. I just have a feeling that's what's going on here. Is I've said it. We were just talking about this just a little bit ago, and I truly believe that the prosecution's only concern for all these case hearings that we've been watching and following and tracking is that they were coming to court with the intention to get that speedy trial thrown out. I think they see the cracks, okay? And that's why they're playing dirty. Anybody that thinks that Bryan Kohberger is guilty or innocent, there is no way you can look at what the prosecution is doing and not think they're playing dirty. It is not common to have to request discovery or evidence that many times, double digits amounts of times. That is not common in most cases. And I think that was their tactic every day that they came in to get that speedy trial thrown out. Now that they got it thrown out, they got what they want. They can now change to a more reliable tactic and be able to backfill the evidence to further substantiate that approach. Or at least that's what I believe. Oh, they absolutely contract out. They contracted out. Well, I don't have confirmation of this, but if what we talked about in our DNA video is correct, based on the information we've seen, that they used, what was that Texas company?
Othram.
That they used Othram. So Othram has been, over the last year or two, closing cold cases left and right, you guys. Just bam, 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 one after another. I think us alone have covered cold cases getting solved like 5 times on our breaking news stories, and they are all from Othram. I didn't know that until later, but they are all from Othram. Now, Othram, we believe, there's no confirmation of this. There is nothing in paper confirming this, but we believe that they used Othram in this open case, which would have been the first time that Othram was being used. That's subcontracted. Now, I also believe, based on what we were watching around ISP's lab, that they actually have subcontracted people in there. I don't know if you would consider it subcontracted or contracted individuals. They might be contract workers in ISP's lab. I don't remember right now, but I'm positive they contract work out. What?
So what I'm thinking, guys, is that Pharaoh trains teams how to use their tech. Okay, so I think there are companies that get subcontracted out that use the Pharaoh equipment and go to crime scenes and are paid to use it and give them that data. I'm trying to figure out exactly how it works.
This dude does not look like a law enforcement
I think he's a part of a team that is subcontracted, is what I think. But I'm trying to figure that out.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I have a major concern with contracting out investigative material. I don't think it's okay. I do not think it's okay. I think that our justice system should be able to be self-supported and serving without the capitalism baked into it like the rest of America. You know what I mean? But, I feel like that's high hopes. That's more than likely not going to be the outcome in any situation. But I guess it's nice because that gives an equal opportunity to a defendant to have that work verified, I guess. I don't know. I guess I would need to see the small print around the.
So when you go to the Pharaoh website, you go under industries, then law enforcement. Yeah, just pull it up. Pull it up. It's just pharaoh.com. So go to industries, then go down to law enforcement. You're not under industries, you're under applications.
Whoa, this is not a user-friendly website. Who designed this? They need me.
Law enforcement.
This is horrible.
Then
what?
Go down, which you can read that if you want.
Better forensic investigation for law enforcement. Pharaoh ensures accuracy in crime scene forensics. When collecting evidence from a crime scene, investigators race against the clock. Each passing moment makes evidence contamination more likely. Plus, in the case of a crash, there's pressure to reopen roads quickly. Pharaoh's scanners dramatically reduce the time needed to capture any scene and help investigators stay safe. Word.
Yeah. So go down.
Okay.
Keep going and look. See, crime scene analysts, prosecutors. Look, it literally says win more cases.
Capitalism.
Yep. So I clicked on that.
Okay. Forensic analysis and pre-incident planning. Digitizing crime scenes and structures with 3D reality capture solutions. Quickly capture every detail of a crime scene for thorough investigation, reconstruction, and legal prosecution. Also, understand the structural and positional details of a building for safety planning purposes.
So, yeah. Okay, there we go.
Accurately visualize any scene or building with Faro. Maybe you're under pressure to capture complete, accurate views of the crime scenes you investigate or reconstruct. Or maybe you need to digitize the details of a building in order to develop a safety plan for emergencies. Either way, you probably know that 3D reality capture technology will do the job well, but you don't have the time to learn how to use complicated equipment, and you have to know the investment will be worth it. At Faro, we understand these concerns. Our forensic analysis software and solutions for pre-incident planning development make it easy to gather the data you need, visualize it for thorough analysis, and even present it with the CSI effect that today's juries expect. Man.
The CSI effect.
Ooh.
Like magic. Okay,
They just need a good salesperson that travels the U.S. and goes to law enforcement and sells it.
I find this interesting. They're talking about the speed of scanning. Okay, so here's the explanation that we got from the news, that they're doing this now because Kohberger waived his right to a speedy trial. Now they actually have time to do it because it takes months. So yes, they can scan it in 2 days, but it's going to take months to analyze this data and come up with this 3D model. Okay, they're advertising it so fast. I mean, I guess to reopen the building, but that doesn't really matter. And honestly, they had a lot of time to get this done in my mind. I don't feel like they had to wait for a speedy, and apparently they already scanned it before, according to you guys and CH who sent us that picture. They've already done it.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah, it was one of the scans for a defense, or was there law enforcement there both times?
That just doesn't make sense. But reliable post-sale support. So this is what makes me think that they specifically, Faro doesn't subcontract. They just sell their equipment. Rest assured that Faro provides immediate support to minimize downtime as well as an ongoing training for your expanding team.
It said up there that that people do come out.
Yeah, they train your team. It doesn't sound like they subcontract.
No, it said if you don't have time to learn technical products or whatever. What, I don't remember where that was.
Yeah, but that was like a 2-second, that was literally one comment, and then all of their support that they provide, nowhere do they list that they come out and do it themselves. That you get post-sale support and training, and they even have like a Faro Academy. I would go to products and support to find out. Oh, jobs. Okay. That's a good idea, actually.
Customer service technician.
I would look at the job description.
Inside sales specialist. Inside. So they do all telesales? Ugh.
Yeah, I think
laser service technician.
I think Duty Ron did say it was the FBI doing it.
Better, more insightful, and more powerful. Okay. Associate's degree in electronics, 1 year in electronic assembly, 1 year. Okay. Ability to use. Work from checklist, diagrams, schematics, perform essential upgrades, including replacement of surface mount components, install PCB. Analyze units and diagnose electronic failures. Okay.
So I know that they repair, that they claim that they maintain your equipment for you. They do repairs. They service it regularly. I think the FBI bought this equipment, and that I think they are the ones probably doing it.
Interesting. Okay. Japan. Weird. Okay. Yeah. So I still go back to, I think it's the prosecution changing their approach.
Well, we know that Bill can have the FBI at a witness's house
Yeah.
in a day.
Yeah.
So clearly he has ties
Yeah.
where he can call favors like that.
That could be a law enforcement
Yeah.
officer.
I think it's literally the FBI. And that one guy who was shorter, I mean, that was for the defense. So that could have been a subcontracted team originally for the defense that came out and did it.
Yeah.
But this one, I think it is the FBI themselves. They just have some people who are trained in it.
I mean, this looks like updated tech anyways. Where's that picture at?
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look different.
This tech is different.
Maybe
It's
it's
a
because
different unit completely.
Well, also, they're creating a 3D model, a model you can hold in your hand, which makes me think that is for the prosecution. That's what makes me think it's for them, because I think they want to bring this model of the house literally in the courtroom.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that explains being there twice though.
Well, once for the defense, once for the prosecution is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Is that an FBI officer right there? No, that's
well,
local.
there was local there too.
Yeah. That's local there. I was just hoping to get confirmation, like visual confirmation it's FBI. You know?
Yeah.
They're from Washington, okay. Yeah, because it's definitely different tech. Absolutely. Yeah, that would be interesting if they went to the Sigma Chi house.
Well, they did send a drone up and do scans from above, and they did it in the surrounding areas. They didn't just focus on the house.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know where all the drone went, but yeah, they did the surrounding of the house too.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, wow. The prosecution is going to make 3D visual goggles for the jury to watch through.
To walk through, probably.
Walk through the home and the crime
Yeah.
scene. Can you imagine feeling like you're literally there with the victims?
Yeah. I hope people can turn it down and say no if they don't want to. Yeah, that's going to be crazy. Super crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said they heard that the defense did it right after it happened.
Yeah, we know the FBI was on the scene in the first few days.
Yeah. I think it was literally the day after. I'm assuming that they were local because of some other crime going on.
Yeah, I would like to ask him some questions. He does go on Duty Ron all the time, from what I saw too. I'll have to check out Duty Ron's channel a little bit more. I haven't watched him much, but I enjoyed this past one where they explained it.
Yeah. So, what are some of the other theories that people are saying around the FBI? Is it just the harsh judgment of you had all this time to do it before type thing?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think that's the general narrative.
See, for me though, I don't see the FBI as the problem here. I want the FBI to come in. I feel like the problem is local police.
Yeah, I mean, every case that is going on right now that has a major problem got the FBI kicked out.
Yeah.
Gilgo, Delphi, Moscow wasn't the FBI wasn't heading the investigation in Moscow. Delphi, they straight up got kicked out. One guy got murdered from the FBI.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
It is.
Gilgo, they were kicked out because of the local law enforcement's corruption. Like, I don't know. I think that we have more evidence that the FBI would be more helpful than harmful.
Yeah.
Now, the FBI was there from the beginning. They
Yeah,
absolutely were.
But
They
they
just
weren't the lead in the case. that makes a difference. And I know some people have said from the very beginning, like, FBI has been involved. But in my opinion, based on looking at Gilgo style evidence, there's a very big difference between this investigation and Gilgo style investigation, where they were quick to jump here, very quick to jump here. And Gilgo, the FBI sat back and let Rex incriminate himself over and over and over and over. Here, they did not let that happen, even though he was out of state, was out of the Moscow area, you know? And I wonder if that's why partially the FBI wasn't involved, because they didn't agree with the direction that the investigation was going. I think that's very possible.
Yeah, it is possible.
And I think it's very easy to use the FBI as a crutch, because the FBI isn't perfect. I'm not riding the FBI's back here. I think they have problems just like any other agency has problems. And it's very possible that they could have problems in this case or other case. Like, you know, that it's just as likely to have problems in the FBI as any other law enforcement agency. However, in every other case that's going on right now, the FBI has been a helping hand, not a hurting hand. And right now, in local law enforcement, we're questioning officers. Problems. We're seeing very weird stuff from Payne's statements and being an expert in cell phone, in DNA, in some of those statements from Payne not lining up like they should. We're seeing we have Tolson that has been proven to break the law to get a conviction. So in this case, I welcome the police. I mean, the FBI. I'm sorry. I welcome the FBI.
Yeah. But Bill Thompson's connections to the FBI make me a bit concerned. So yeah, that's true. The FBI was in town for that big drug bust. And yes, it was right after the two girls' moms. That's basically what our drug theory video is all about.
Yeah.
And it is wild. It is wild information. It's just odd. It seems all too coincidental. Some of the walls and part of the floors have been removed. That seems pretty standard, but does that make it harder to get the 3D scan accurate at all?
I don't think so. I think that they would have been able to
fill those areas.
In, I'm sure.
So state called on FBI too quickly to jump on Vargas. It is sus.
What's up, occult rejects? Welcome, welcome.
What two cases have very shady DNA? I mean, Kohberger, I know, but what's the other?
For who? Who said that?
The occult rejects. The comment you just highlighted.
Yeah.
The fact that Bill could just make a phone call and have the FBI go to a witness's house to question her is wild to me. I really wish we could hear Vargas talk on that so badly.
I know. I think there are some questions that need to be answered there, especially since seeing that court hearing where Bill was like a little kid in trouble on camera and stuttering when before he was all chest puffed out and being a jerk, and then he comes in after that and he's like, well, Judge, I don't know what to say or how to say it with these cameras here, you know.
Right.
It was funny.
It was really awkward.
It was super awkward. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, you're saying Gilgo has shady DNA evidence?
Oh gosh, the wife's DNA? I mean, it looks shady for the wife, but gosh, all that evidence they have against Rex Heuermann, I don't think there's any way. I think we're missing people, if anything.
Yeah, I think there could be more people involved.
Yeah, his brother potentially.
That police
his
officer
wife,
from
potentially. Yep.
The police officer from Brooklyn, potentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
The police officer from Brooklyn, whoever that is, that we've now heard 3 different occasions.
Yep.
I agree.
Wait, this isn't the first quad homicide of U of I at U of I?
I didn't know that.
Specifically the university, right?
I know there were back-to-back quad homicides in Idaho with the Kohberger and then Major John.
Yeah. Kelly, right?
I think it was Major John Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a neighbor thing.
Yeah, I mean, he went in the house and hunted them, literally.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
After shooting the first 2 people that opened the door, which was the grandpa and the mother, he then proceeded into the house and hunted the 2 boys.
It's just horrible. So what was the other quad homicide, CH?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
There's a Quad City drug task force based in Washington covering Moscow and 2 or 3 other Washington goon areas. Moscow hates them. Allegedly, they are the Cowboys. Interesting. Wait, what? Yeah, totally agree. There's more people involved in Gilgo. Yeah,
there's gotta be, dude. So we talked about it on was it Monday? Monday. Yep. So we talked about it on Monday, and those statements coming out with that private investigation around the wife and how she owes Rex everything. It is, oh man. How complicit is she? You know what I mean? Like looking the other way complicit, or like helping him hide it. And her hair's on 3 of them.
With the new statements from witnesses, I think it's very possible she was helping him hide it and knew all along. Because originally I was questioning, like, how did, after she heard these descriptions, saw these, especially knowing, okay, that girl was at her house, Karen Vergata was at her house, and just identified, like, I don't know.
I know.
All the other situations now come into question. Did she see these women popping up on the news and remember seeing them before? Even if she didn't know he was killing them and thought that he was just, hooking up with them, wouldn't your wheels start to turn? Like, oh yeah, I remember him hooking up with that girl and that girl and that girl and that girl.
Yeah. Should there have been a call in?
Yeah.
Right. No, I agree with you. 100%.
Wait, no way, Pebbles. And 2 different instances involving professors committing murder or being murdered. What?
You should write that down. We got to look into that. That's worth looking into. Because I know there's the professor theory. We haven't touched anything even close to that before. We're gonna fully invest into the 4chan theory and close that out before we go into any other theory. But the professor theory, I think, is worth talking about. I really do. I've seen some good evidence, and there are people that are saying that this professor was out to get him and things like that. I think it's worth looking at. I really do. I'd be curious to see this professor's background, like fraternity background, things like that. Because Sigma Chi has some bodies around it. It has some bodies around it. And multiple people who ended themselves, multiple very questionable situations of unsolved members ending. It's just more than normal. Could it be because they're a big time party fraternity, so they are more at risk than your average student? Sure, that's always a possibility, but it still needs to be answered to. And I know a few years ago, there was a group of people that was pushing for Sigma Chi to close nationally,
Yeah.
close it all down, the whole thing, everything.
Yeah, we're gonna dig into Sigma Chi this week.
So they can't risk more bodies under them for any reason whatsoever. You know what's interesting? I don't want to go too far off topic here, but with the Delphi case, and I'm probably going to talk about it again this Friday. Richard Allen is regaining his health.
Yep.
Dude.
So
Come on.
So Bob Mata said that he seemed the same, and then I heard Murder Sheet say that he seemed healthier.
Dude, I've seen pictures of him from the hearing. Yeah. He is way healthier. Yeah, he has gained quite a bit of weight.
He's walking. He's looking more alert. Apparently, when he walks,
has a fat head, and I'm not like trying to talk trash. He just has a big head, dude. Like, it's a very round head. That's just, you know, a trait of his. And when all that stuff was going on and we seen him drooling on himself, he was a skeleton.
Thank you, Pebbles.
A complete skeleton. Now his head is like going back to what some of the pictures were that we saw before.
Thank you, CH. I just want to mention that because they're looking to send it to us.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate that. I'll type the email in the chat just in case. Or you can send it on Discord. And don't forget, guys, we got that investigations tab to keep information and sources from getting lost in Discord.
Yes, yes.
It's more of a forum.
And anyone can post in the investigations tab in the Discord too, any cases. And if there's a case that you want us to look at, you can post it in there and say, you know, please investigate, please look at whatever, and we'll dig into it. So absolutely.
Yeah, you can absolutely make case suggestions there. And just so everybody knows, because I've heard some people saying they thought Discord was charged, like that you have to pay. You do not.
No.
It's absolutely 100% free, always and forever.
Yeah, it is always
Kicked
free.
My shoe.
There is no payment.
So Joanne, I'm curious, why do you think Ann Taylor won't fight for him anymore? Because I do hear that going around. I just don't know why people think that all of a sudden. And hi, Joanne. Good to see you.
Yeah, and Allie, just because we're gonna cover the professor theory doesn't mean we believe in that theory. Just like the drug theory, the 4chan theory, the approach that we take here at Thought Riot is if there's a theory out there and a theory that has any sort of roots to it, we're going to talk about it and we want to investigate it. And we believe that being able to have these theories to look at side by side, right? To look at one video and say, okay, let's look at the evidence on the drug theory video. Bam. Now let's look at the evidence on this 4chan theory video, or let's look at the evidence of the professor theory, and which one makes the most sense after looking at the evidence for these theories, you know? And we're doing it with John Bonet right now too, going through theories by suspect, just so they're out there, so it can be seen and watched and known, and people can come to their own conclusion of what they feel like is the best potential theory. And somebody asked, I'm sorry, oh yeah, it was you also, Allie, but the Linda Lane audio, yes, we have heard the Linda Lane audio.
There's so much of it out there, and there's so much. I don't know what's real and what's fake, so it's hard. I did see something recently posted by a relatively small creator that she apparently enhanced it and enhanced it and enhanced it again and again. And it sounds like a bunch of jumbling stuff, but she had subtitles of what she hears, and it all sounds like, from what she's saying, it says, which I couldn't personally hear. I have to have you listen to it, honestly.
Okay.
It sounds like some grand conspiracy, and it sounds literally like the frats are planning a murder. And I'm like, is this real? I'm not sure.
If I can get my hands on that original Linda Lane footage that was leaked, I know that there was a Google Docs type thing out there where you could download the original. I would love to have that and then enhance it myself. We do all of our editing between us. And yeah, and I would love to do the enhancements myself. I gotta go to the bathroom again.
Okay.
Too much caffeine.
Yeah. I mean, Sigma Chi's got not such a great track record around the country. And yeah, it was shut down at other universities. They wanted to shut down the whole thing, though. Kathy Mabbitt is, yes, the coroner. She's also in the Lions Club. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talking about masonry with this. It's basically essentially just another fraternity is what it is. And I'm sure they got secrets. I don't know if that's like a rabbit hole worth going down, though, because those people are never going to talk. Like, you're never going to get anything out of it unless somebody's literally like boots to the ground infiltrating them. You know what I mean? Which I'm sure is similar as what happened with Sigma Chi. If they were involved in any way, they probably couldn't get anywhere with them. Yeah, all defense attorneys are paid by the state, though. I don't think that means that much. Like, I don't think that means that they're going to do what's in the state's best interest. Like, I have a lot of respect for defense attorneys. And, you know, in one of our recent videos, I called out Nancy Grace because she said she didn't know how Ann Taylor could look at herself in the mirror defending Bryan Kohberger. And that, to me, was just absolutely disgusting. Like, what a disgusting thing to say. Because defense attorneys are absolutely needed. And nobody knows for sure whether Bryan is guilty or innocent. Nobody knows that for absolute fact.
Yeah, you got to be careful for people that are trying to cause drama.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't think that's what's going on right now, but
yeah, right. That could totally be what's going on right now. That people are trying to cause drama. So look, law enforcement wants the public's help when they want it. And then they don't want us to look at anything they're doing after they don't want our help anymore. So would it be smart if I'm trying to get separation from the online community, asking questions into the cops, to start targeting the defense? Wouldn't that be a smart tactic? To me, that sounds genius.
That's a good point.
Hey, we need to put focus off of our investigation, off of the prosecution, off of our side of the argument. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for defense attorneys. Do I think there's situations where they could be compromised? Yes, but in this kind of case, I don't. Only because it's a higher level of court than just like your average traffic court, or, you know, where you walk in the courtroom, they're like, here's your attorney, you talk for 2 seconds, then you go plead. like that kind of situation. I've been in those before. Those kind of attorneys, I mean, it's kind of like a revolving door, and they're all like working together constantly. Like, because that's kind of the worry right now with Delphi, okay? Is the judge picked defense attorneys that she works with every day in her county
Yeah.
that she thinks,
Make my job easy for me.
right.
And I'll do the
So-
same for you.
So I think that's a situation that I'm concerned about with those specific attorneys. With Ann Taylor, she's got a lot of history. I saw Bonnie earlier, which I think we need to do a whole video, and we just need to dig into Ann Taylor's background to see what we can find. I'm not
Mhm.
saying it's impossible that she's compromised. I'm not saying that, but I don't think it's very likely.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely. Because look, Ann Taylor and the prosecution went head to head. We've seen on 2 or 3 different occasions they were not happy with each other. And you could clearly see that from the body language, the tones, the tonality they were
calling
talking
each other
with.
out.
Yeah, straight up coming at each other's throats, okay? So that wouldn't happen if they're in cahoots.
No, she wouldn't be saying there was misconduct by the prosecution.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think that would happen if she wasn't fighting for Bryan. Did you read this?
Mhm.
Yeah, Ashley, just send us an email or hit us up in Discord. I saw you posting that you would want to help out.
Yeah.
Just send us an email and we'll talk. Oh,
Hey, Riddler.
yeah.
Coming in hot. We appreciate that. Having fun and learning new angles. Us too.
Yeah.
So people leave a lot of comments that I think they mistake my confidence for like needing to always be right.
Mm.
And what's interesting is when I'm on here, I am learning way more from our viewers than I think that I know.
Yeah.
So I think people just mistake my confidence for me needing to be right, because I'll be the first one to tell you, I know nothing. Zero. Nothing.
So we got an answer on who the arsonist was. Paul D. Matovich from CH. Here, he goes into some more right here. He was accused only of setting a fire at Chrisman Hall, I'm assuming, one of the 3 blazes that preceded the fatal blaze at, I don't even know how to say that, Galt something.
Yeah.
October 19th, it was in the Galt blaze that the 3 students perished.
That's horrible. Did you write it down?
Yeah.
Okay, for follow-up?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Angel, that is I don't know if I finished my statement for Riddler, but we appreciate you, Riddler. We always love
Yes.
having you here. You always send good messages with update
do.
information and things like that. And you are exactly the type of person we're looking for in our community. So we appreciate you for that.
Yes.
So where was I? Yeah. That is a great question. But you guys, one thing is while that is a good question, if I was in the frat and I did this crime, I wouldn't have the sheath or the knife anywhere near me. They would be gone. They would be eeny, meeny, miny, mo, that tree there, dug and buried under it so that the tree grows over the knife is what I would do. I know Malia wants me to do how I would do this crime video. I know AR Hayes has done one. I'm sure he's phenomenal. I haven't watched a lot of him. Only a little tiny baby amount of him, not because of who he is, just because my editing, and I work a full-time job, so I don't get to watch a lot of content. So I haven't watched that video. So if I do that video, it would be interesting to do it and then watch his video to see how it aligns.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm. So Heather, I saw you asking if we saw the X or Twitter account 1122 King Road Clue. I haven't seen it, but I'll go check it out. It says it's a musical documentary.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Odd. I haven't seen it. I don't know what to expect.
Strange, but okay.
Oh, Joanne's in the bathroom right now. Gotcha, Joanne. Quick thought riot break, huh?
Yes. That's okay. I just took a bathroom break and I didn't wash my hands.
Ew, why would you even... Yuck.
I use hand sanitizer. I washed them, all right?
Okay, as long as you did hand sanitizer.
Hand sanny for the win. Michael!
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah, Nancy Wayne Gracie.
Nancy Wayne Gracie.
Mhm. That was so funny. I don't know who said that, but they had me dying. Hilarious.
Wait, who? Who spoke out about that night?
What? Where?
Heather was saying something. Wait, isn't that Heather? No, Jennifer.
What are you talking about? You're like way up.
And did you read the article with some girl named Madison Moy? It's not a new article. It's old from the beginning. And then she continues here. She is a sorority sister of Maddie and Xana. And I just find it weird that not only does she live behind 1122, but she's the only one to speak out publicly about that night. Let me look up her name.
Interesting. Write that down. Yeah, because I haven't found anyone to speak out about. Oh, wait. I do know who you're talking about. I do. Did you write it?
Yeah.
Okay. Across the field from say she went out for a smoke. Yeah, Mark. I forget her name too, but that was some drama around that stuff. Dot. Yep. Dot.
Yeah,
Dot.
she's a fake.
Yeah. Yeah. Malia mods chat. She does mod the chat 100%, but Malia has good input. I feel like we're a good pair because I'm like logical to a fault where I disconnect. I don't take into account the human aspect or human emotion as much as I should, and I feel like you do that a lot. So like we land in the middle perfect.
Mm-hmm. I think he was just saying hi to us and the mods, but
Oh,
fine.
Probably.
There's no mods.
Right
though.
over my head.
I'm the only mod.
Yeah.
Well, and soon we're gonna have real mods.
Yeah. Where's the beef? In the fridge. I think the cut fingers. Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think with the FBI stuff? So closing this out, and we'll touch on another topic. So I think it could have some questions here, but not a lot. Like it's not that surprising to me.
Thank you, the occult rejects. It's not. I really appreciate that. We both appreciate that.
Absolutely. We're gonna. I know you reached out to us, and you can vouch for me. I'm still trying to catch up on editing. Like I am so far behind that I haven't been able to reach out to anybody. So
we've had a lot going on.
A lot
behind.
One after another after another. And I'm usually finished with the week's worth of editing yesterday.
We both usually are done by now.
And I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not today still. And I will still have some tomorrow. And that's bad because we record on Fridays. So
yep.
I promise I will get back to you. I promise.
Brendan, don't give them ideas.
I know.
That
So-
isn't that the truth though.
What?
You can't give people ideas.
What idea did I give this time?
I don't know. I don't know what ideas you gave.
I know. The whole true crime community, maybe they were talking about law enforcement, but the whole true crime community, it's funny how people like to take ideas without giving shout outs or anything.
I know, and we got like our butts reamed for not giving a shout out. Like the first time, like when we were still new, I think you forgot, and somebody got super offended. So, and then we really like, I don't know, got comfy in our spot. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, and figured out exactly our direction. We're like, we want to be really supportive of everybody. Like,
Dude,
we were.
There's no reason not to give a shout out
No,
to people, even when
zero.
you borrow an idea. Okay, like the AR Hayes, he came out with that video. That's a great idea. If I make a video talking about how I would have done this crime, you better believe I'm gonna be like, yo, we got this idea from AR Hayes, and it's an awesome, interesting idea. So shout out. You should watch the video after this, see how we compare, because I haven't watched his video. You know what I mean? Like it takes a half of a second. I don't know. I don't want to complain anymore.
Yeah, I don't understand the not shouting out though. I think people want, I don't know, their information to be exclusive
Or
There-
territorial, worried
there's-
that I don't know.
Yeah, but there is no territory anymore on this internet, you know, reality. There is nothing exclusive anymore.
Quarterly.
Information is free.
Quarterly. So every 3 months, there are hundreds of billions of views. So for people to feel like they're worried there's not enough space for everyone, that's just not possible. That is not possible at all, period. Okay, so with the FBI stuff, all right? So I don't think there's anything major here. Is it a little bit weird? Yeah, I think it's a little bit weird. But what are some of the factors that could have caused this? One, they have new tech. We see the difference in pictures, right? Let me borrow real quick. So we see the newer updated tech here, and this is the old tech. These are two different machines all together here.
Can you zoom in on that other machine? Because what if it's just turned sideways?
It's not. It's not. I can see the camera, this 360 camera here.
Okay.
I believe it is a different machine altogether. And then we have the new machines here. Very different. Very different. And what's interesting on this machine is I believe the cameras are actually on this side, the sides, the short. I think so. I could be wrong.
Thought it was in the center.
I could be wrong. Let me see if there's another one. It could be in the center. Yep, you're right. So, oh no, it is on that side.
What?
Well,
Look at this one.
Why else is she looking at?
Oh, I don't know. Look at this one though. I'm curious.
Yeah, but it could still be recording on the sides, you know?
Okay.
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's a 360 camera. We're both right, and there's a camera on every side.
Oh, maybe.
Totally possible. But I don't see a major red flag here. One, and it could be you guys too. I might have a little bit of bias here, and I understand that, right? And everyone has bias. You just got to be aware of it. But I feel like the FBI is a safer bet in this case. I feel like locally, they have too many ties to the college. There is too much financial gain to be made between law enforcement and the college. I feel like they don't have enough experience for a case of this magnitude with
this much intellect from the suspect to be able to control the crime scene with no DNA in this way, right? Whether it's a cleanup or whether it's something else. I just don't think they have the experience to deal with this. And I feel like the FBI does. And I could be wrong in that. But I feel like the FBI has saved the day in the last few big cases, with Gilgo coming in and finally closing it after you had, what was it? Was it a DA or was it a chief or whatever that was being invested by the FBI for tax evasion or tax fraud or something like that? So they wouldn't let the FBI come in and do the investigation. Once they were able to come in, they closed it with insane amounts of evidence. But that could be my bias, you know, why I look at this and think, I don't know.
So 3 cameras have to be triangulated. Interesting. Lots of triangulation in this case. Illuminati confirmed.
Yeah. I'm Illuminati, remember? I'm Illuminati because I do this move here.
No, you got to cover one eye.
No, they said just, wait, how do I cover one eye?
Because your head was to the side.
Like this? That doesn't look attractive.
No, to the side. I never said winking an eye.
Like this?
Exactly. Perfect.
Okay. That's how you do it. That's the Illuminati move. These are my Dahmer glasses, right?
Exactly, my shell. That's what it should be. You just take the idea and make it your own. It's impossible to reinvent the wheel. It's impossible to, like, come out with something new anymore.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just think it's like it's a respect thing, you know, and who knows, maybe one day we'll be big enough where I would never be mean to anybody ever. I just wouldn't in any way. But like, dude, people are smart. People, a lot of people don't give people in general enough credit, but people see things. They know what's going on, you know?
Mm-hmm. Pebbles thinks the FBI has been part of the major issues, though. That's true. They're connected to the IGG. They're connected to the car.
Not according to Payne. Not according to Payne's statement. The only connection there is Payne getting on the phone with the cell phone data, but Payne actually did the recreation. Then Payne talking about the DNA and how everything was found beforehand and then given to the FBI, essentially.
So maybe all the evidence was tainted before it ever got to the FBI.
I don't know. But I also understand how people can look at the FBI's involvement in this case and feel like, what is going on here? I get it. I do. I'm just placing my chip in the FBI slot here, that I hope if something goes wrong, the FBI can come in and figure this out.
The biggest conflict I have is with the judge and his ties to the university. That's a good point.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to dig into that tonight, Mikey, because that's one of the things I'm bringing up in the follow-up of
4chan.
The 4chan theory. Yeah.
Brent was in the military with Payne's brother, not Payne. And I know you're replying to somebody, but I have heard that. Is that like confirmed?
Well, okay, let me ask this. How in the military? Like, were they in the same unit? Or were they just in the same branch? Or were they just in the military at the same time?
So Allie was telling you not to give ideas about burying the knife under a tree so that it grows over.
Oh, yeah.
Plus the chapstick thing.
What's wrong with my chapstick, J. Ray? All right.
Who looks like Velma? Brendan looks like Velma?
With my glasses, I think is what they're saying.
Thank you, Mikey. We'll look into it.
I think it's with my glasses. Look at people are throwing tomatoes. Yes.
Tomato throw.
That's what it's there for. When people don't agree, you got to throw those tomatoes, you guys. That's what they're there for. Tomato throw.
That would be wild.
But so what do you think about the FBI? Give your thoughts on that.
I mean, I think they're following up on this investigation. We know that investigation does not stop with an arrest. I think they're following up and possibly there to help create this 3D physical model for Bill Thompson. Honestly, I wonder if it's not at the order of Bill Thompson asking a favor like he did when they went to Vargas's house, because he wants this for the hearing. He needs to have, for the trial, he needs to have his ducks in a row. He needs to make it convincing because right now it's questionable. If you don't have enough evidence, okay, cold hard facts, and your case relies purely on the circumstantial, then you are going to have to make that as convincing as possible. You're going to have to sell it to that jury.
Yeah.
You're going to have to tell the full story, beginning to end, your whole theory of the case, sell the whole story.
Yeah.
And you're going to need props. I mean, think about it. Basically putting on a show. The props help.
Yeah. So what about them not doing it already? What about them being willing to tear down the house before having this? Or is this just updated technology? And they're like, well, since we got some extra time, I guess we'll make it work. We'll take the new units out there and test drive.
It could be that. I'm not saying that it couldn't be. But obviously, this was not pre-planned. Like, oh, we're going to get one before and after when the bodies are there and are not, to have that extra layer of evidence. I don't think that was planned. Even if it is helpful, I don't think it was planned. Or else they wouldn't have been planning to tear down the house.
Yeah.
And everybody signed off on it. I don't think... it blows my mind that they wanted to tear it down before the trial. Blows my mind.
See, and that's where I'm at a different opinion on it. For me, it's not a huge deal, as long as both sides are comfortable with it.
No, everything can't be a conspiracy and corrupt, but we're not talking about everything. We're talking about a specific case. And just because we're talking about the theory of something being corrupt doesn't mean we believe it is. We don't know.
No. And I think one good way to look at it, Tom Van, is so in law enforcement, everyone and anyone will tell you there's no such thing as a perfect crime. There's no such thing as a perfect investigation. And there's no such thing as a perfect case. So when we look at these things, I think it's important to talk about both sides. So if you have a problem, if you have a suspect, and that suspect seems like a weak case by all regards, and this is a weak case. I think anybody that's trying to make the stand that it's a strong case either doesn't have much experience or they have some kind of emotional bias and or buy-in to back the police department, blue blood, whatever in this case, because this is not a strong case. I don't think anyone could argue that this is a strong case. All you have to do is say, okay, you want to see a strong case, go look at Gilgo. That's a strong case. A strong case is you could take out any 1, 2, or 3 pieces of evidence and you're still going to get a conviction. With this case, you can't. You can't take out one piece with its current state. So in that situation where we see a weak case, and some of these concerns around the painting of the character assassination, being told that we have a BA case here, and the DNA is so strong and the cell phone is so strong. But then when you actually look into them by themselves, right? When you actually look into the DNA and it's on it's on an item that could be transferred there, on top of the fact that it's transferred DNA, trace DNA, which is not allowed in most of the world because of its unreliability, which is not allowed in military courtrooms because of its unreliability. Then you look into the cell phones and they're using very specific words like, well, Bryan Kohberger was attached to a Moscow tower at this time, which we believe could mean he was at 1122, not being honest that, hey, this cell phone tower covers a 15 square mile radius and he can be anywhere in that on this side, just things like that. It's when you see cases like that, that makes me want to cover both sides of the coin, because in order to have a valid heads, you got to be able to invalidate the tails, or vice versa. I hope that made sense.
This is the first time I've heard a bias in Brendan.
Yeah.
So the FBI can't be saying they're just a tip and source without considering the sources don't investigate the same case in every way. It's a good point.
Yeah. Look, I don't think we know anything about the FBI's involvement in this case. So I'm not confident saying 100% this is what it is. What I do know is that we've had FBI agents come out in mainstream media and in papers and magazines to make statements saying that they don't want anything to do with this case. They aren't involved in it, that they were there for assistance in their science, essentially. They were there to assist the science in this investigation, that they didn't take any part in it. That, to me, sounds like they're going out of their way to separate themselves from this case, which then makes me wonder why. You know what I mean? Why? Why do you want to separate from this case if you've given local PD information that is so confidently Bryan Kohberger? Wouldn't you want to associate, like, yeah, we're here to support law enforcement. That's what we do.
Tomatoes are a member's emote, Jennifer, just to let you know. I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Hope you did the chapstick
Here,
thing with the hot dog costume.
That would be hilarious. Oh my gosh. You should post the emotes for people. You got to upload some more too.
Oh yeah, I do need to upload some more. If you guys have any suggestions on emotes, definitely let me know. Members, if you want a certain emote, go ahead, shout out your ideas. I'm posting them all. So if you're doing it, we're both doing it.
Okay, then we'll both do it. And what's cool is, like, when we have a member that has done something awesome, we've created some emotes for them, like
chapstick emote. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And we need a hot dog emote.
You still need to fix the ADHD emote.
Okay, well, here, let me write down my fixes.
Because it's an ADHD thing here.
I'll make a checklist. So fix ADHD. I also need to make
hot dog.
Need to make Michael's crown bigger for King of the Chat.
Yes. King of the Chat. The FBI is mandated to investigate federal crimes, not state crimes. Yeah, but the FBI does assist in cases sometimes. And maybe that's why that's what I was responding to. Maybe that's why they want separation from it, because they legally aren't supposed to do that. I don't know, but that's definitely a real possibility. But I think it's also a real possibility that they're like, hey, we'll assist our science departments, our investigative departments, for like will assist in that. But we see how bad this investigation is going, so like, do not use our name. You know, I think that's a real possibility too.
Here, I was just asking in the chat, Mikey, what do you mean by Dallas Cowboys? Like any specifics around that? I don't know if I could just use the logo as an emote. I don't think so. Why were they in such a hurry to demolish the house? That's what I want to know. That's what sketches me out.
The Dallas Cowboys isn't that one like male strip club?
What?
But yeah, that was a joke.
Ha ha ha.
But yeah, I'm curious about the FBI stuff. I have high hopes. I think that they're corrupt FBI agents. Absolutely. I just find it hard for an entire FBI to be corrupt, you know? I find that hard because I associate with a lot of different people in my job, a lot, tons of people every single day. And for the most part, people are good faith. They believe they're doing the right thing. So,
yeah, you're right. You're right, Gina. That's not Brendan.
No.
He's an imposter.
Imposter.
Yeah, I think they're getting ready for trial too. I do think that's what this is getting ready for trial.
Yeah. I'm just theorizing that they've changed their approach, their tactics. Something has changed. And I think this has always been the plan, you guys. I really do. I think that, look, we've talked about this multiple times, and there's probably a lot of new people in here that haven't heard us say this, but when we did the maths, when we did the statistics and math behind the Moscow income with the college, we took the overall annual income. Wait, was it? Yeah, it was. Overall annual income per person, per student that was brought into the community. I forget what that figure is. It's on the video, though, that has money and college. So I think the background's college with money symbols. But we took that income and then took the total count of 40% of the student body that left the college. We times those together, and it added up to $150 million annually. The town was at risk. The school was at risk of losing $150 million annually. That is a ton of money. Now, if they just went this whole time without a suspect, do you think students would have came back to school?
No.
No way, dude. No way. That 40% would have stayed down or got worse. It would have been a scale forever decreasing. That $150 million annually would have turned into $200 million annually, would have turned into $250 million annually, would have closed the school probably. So they needed somebody. They needed somebody. And that puts a lot of pressure, that puts a lot of heat, that puts a lot of anxiety on the police, and that could be a cause for mistake.
Yeah. So Gio said something interesting, that if they were military, whoever committed this crime, wouldn't they have swept every room and made sure there weren't any witnesses? And yes, I believe they would have, absolutely. So
unless it was targeted, The only thing is unless it was targeted.
I don't know.
But yes, ideally, I think that if somebody's military or if somebody is I'm drawing a blank right now. The drug theory.
Cartel.
Yeah, cartel. They would not have left anybody.
No. So that is right. They're also doing acoustic analysis of the house too, which is interesting,
That is interesting. I wonder why.
right?
Is it so they can back the
The survivors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe. So Allie, tomatoes. So there should be an emote button, not the hearts. I see what you're talking about with the smiley faces, the congratulations, all that. It's not there. It's by where you actually type in your message. There should be an emote button, and the tomatoes are specifically for members.
Here.
We have all the emotes I posted in the chat. Did I say tomatoes? All the emotes I posted in the chat are member ones that we've made and put on here.
So right here. Can you see me? Yep. Okay. Bam. Walla walla bam bam.
That's a weird Inception type thing.
What?
Watching ourselves.
Yeah.
We're reacting to ourselves in real time.
Yeah.
Look, it's like the mirror effect.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird.
Yep.
Really interesting with the acoustics, though.
Yeah, it is interesting. Really.
The 82nd Airborne Division is what Brent Kopaka was in, and also Payne's brother. From what we're hearing, they weren't in the same, what is it called? They were in the same branch, but not the same, like, division or team or whatever. I don't remember what it's called.
Oh gosh, these are like
Wait. I
way
saw something.
away.
Dude, Dallas. Oh, yeah. Hold on. Okay, so wait, here it is. Oh, joking about the Cowboys football. Oh, okay. You just like football. Gotcha. Yeah, we were way behind.
Yeah.
Have we not watched the congressional hearing from this July?
I'm not sure. I'll have to see an image of it to be positive.
Yeah. Just downvoted a comment on Reddit saying Thought Riot was the worst true crime podcast and realized Thought Riot made the post.
Yeah, it was me. Mm-hmm.
That's so ridiculous. You put on Reddit, we're the worst podcast.
Yeah, look.
Why?
Because it's funny. Yeah, they've said, who is your favorite true crime creator? And I said,
Definitely not Thought Riot podcast. They're horrible. Anyone but them.
Mm.
Look, must say I've been loving listening to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are included. Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Some
Just
good
having
comments.
fun. Oh, shoot. I never put this. Yeah. Gosh, I am just blown away. Like, I cannot get over the grand jury details, man. My mind just keeps going back there. Even when I'm trying to focus on the details around the FBI topic, I just have such a hard time letting that go. I don't feel like that's fair. If there's one thing in this case that I feel like has been the most unfair, it is that dang grand jury.
Yeah, it is.
It's just a workaround. It's a way for the state to be like, we don't have enough evidence, so let's just pretend we have enough evidence and coerce these grand jury members into giving us what we want. That is so messed up.
Mhm.
That is awful.
Yeah, but it seems like it's standard in Idaho. So with Ann Taylor not fighting as hard as the Delphi lawyers, I feel like you can't really compare it.
Yeah,
It's
different
not
circumstances.
very different circumstances.
Bryan doesn't have guards that he feels his life is threatened in jail. I don't know if that stuff is true, but with Delphi, the fact that they confirmed that they were wearing patches, the fact that they confirmed that they are a satruist, man, that, because I thought they were full of it. I thought Baldwin and Rozzy were full of it when that Frank's motion came out. I did not believe it. I almost didn't read it because I was like, oh, that's a technique, the defense, that's a technique. And I almost didn't read it. But then when we actually looked into it, I was blown away. I was shocked, you guys. I was shocked.
Yeah. The whole case around Delphi, everything that's happening is shocking and appalling, to be honest. I was really disappointed watching court TV, which I feel like Vinny was actually more on the side of what's going on is messed up, and then he had all these lawyers on, and I didn't like the way they talked about it.
No.
I was kind of personally offended by it, that they felt, well, these lawyers can't be on the case because if he loses, then that's grounds for an appeal.
Well, hold on. So they're speaking strictly from the legal setting. So basically what they're saying is that the court records are a linear timeline. And earlier in the records, the judge has already said that they were incompetent. So because that one statement was made with the judge, she cannot let them continue. Literally cannot. Because if the prosecution wins, all Allen has to do is file something saying, hey, your own judge said these guys were incompetent, and clearly I wasn't in my right mind, and the judge let them continue. Retry all day. So because the judge had that meeting, because Baldwin and Rozzy then put it on record that they had that meeting and these things were said, they literally cannot continue unless they find a flaw with goal. If they can admit that there is flawed judgment in goal, then Baldwin and Rozzy can continue, because then that explains the statement around them being incompetent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, because at first I felt the same way as you, and then I started thinking about it and I was like, oh, wait, I get it. Understand it.
Yeah, thank you, Gio. We appreciate that. So light bulb is a great idea, and of course I can make that.
Yes.
Hopefully you'll get gifted a membership.
Yeah. We have membership gifting parties here. I know not too long ago, we'll give them out.
Yeah, we like to give back and give out memberships.
I think we did 20 the other day, and then Michael has his own emote because, man, one day Michael was on here and gave like 50.
It was incredible. It was incredible. He was trying to hook somebody up, and it ended up hooking a whole bunch of people up, which is awesome. It is amazing.
Oh, we just got a gift here.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Sorry if we missed anything, guys.
Super far behind.
Yeah. We're just scrolling down to get to the current comments.
Yeah, that's super.
Thank you, Mikey.
Yes, that's awesome.
Here, who got it?
Mikey coming through
Craft-
always.
Craft and Crime, welcome.
Oh, Mikey, that's why you were asking about Dallas. So I see your picture now. Okay, you're a Cowboys fan.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I was teasing about the sports reference. So I have a confession that I don't do sports, you guys. I do money. Like where most people want to sit and watch a game, I would rather sit and read and watch money, not like counting it. I mean the stock markets, the markets. All right, Ann.
Yep.
Ann's gonna lay down and listen. That's how we do it too sometimes. Yes.
Oh, so a one-legged offender, huh?
That's who
Yes.
did this crime?
Yeah, J. Ray, I did know that, and I think that's so crazy still. Wild. You need to send me a picture of it.
I don't think I have any light bulb tattoos. I don't remember any of mine though.
I don't think so. You've never shown me a light bulb tattoo. Yes, we are growing. And we love it too. We have so much fun getting on here and talking.
We do. We do. Our favorite part is being able to communicate with the chat and learn from you guys. And even while we're talking, we're reading the chat. It's just some people that want to see videos want to see the commentary. Like they like that constant commentary. So we're trying to figure that out and do the commentary and then do the questions focused like at the end. And then as we're going in between topics, we talk with the chat and focus on everybody.
My hobby, making money. Any allergies? Why, yes, poverty.
Totally not like that.
So
there's a shooting standoff. Let me see.
Wait, where? Shooting standoff in right now? Oh my gosh. Thank you, CH. An officer-involved shooting nearby apartments in the area have been evacuated. Another one? Spirit Lake. Deputies with the, how do you say it? Kootenai? Kootenai?
I think it's Kootenai.
Kootenai?
Mm-hmm.
No.
That's how.
Okay. The Cootie County, okay? Are engaged in a standoff with a suspect on 41st and Jefferson in Spirit Lake, Idaho. According to KCSO, the incident is being designated as an officer-involved shooting, and nearby apartments in the area have been evacuated. No officers have been reported injured in the standoff. The exact numbers of suspects in the standoff is unknown. Crime 2 has a crew heading to the scene for more details. This is a developing news story and we'll provide more updates as we receive them. That's it.
Okay, we'll just go back here. Hang on.
Kootenai, thank you.
Yeah, you can't listen to my pronunciations. I'm never right.
Idaho, guys, has got so much going on.
So if 59 minutes ago, this is Spirit Lake. Scene is active and no additional media information will be available tonight. Okay.
Not till tomorrow will we get an update.
Yeah, but is there something live?
Save that, though. Save that website.
Okay.
Just a normal day in Idaho, right? Hey,
Yeah.
princess. That's it.
Yeah, that's strange.
What about Facebook? Like a spirit.
Police fight. Oh wait, no, that's
Here,
not...
let me see if I can find something, because sometimes there's live updates on Facebook with stuff like that.
Yeah, that is crazy. So, Kootenai County shootout.
Okay, so Spirit Lake Police Department's last post was October 25th about a found bicycle. Thanks. Really appreciate that.
Create your stunning mock-up instantly with...
Jeez, that was loud.
Sorry.
We are following a couple of stories right now. The first,
Stop with the background music
police
sound.
are investigating an officer-involved shooting this evening. Adam Schwager just arrived a short time ago. Adam, what have you learned?
Yeah, Morgan, we don't know much right now, but as you said, there's an officer-involved shooting
gonna be
here
so
in
mad
Spirit
about
Lake,
that.
just off.
Look, he's gonna be so angry about that hair right there, you guys. Guaranteed.
Oh my God.
He's gonna watch that later and be like, "Why did you guys not tell me about that?" Oh my gosh.
So bad, dude.
It
So many
is.
hairs.
It's a lot.
It's so many hairs.
Oh,
I would
no.
be so mad at you.
If I didn't say anything, I wouldn't say anything.
You wouldn't say
No,
anything. I know you
I
wouldn't.
wouldn't.
For Highway 41 near Athol as well, and right now we're being staged in the playground area of Spirit Lake Elementary School. That's where Kootenai County Sheriff's Office has requested us being. From my vantage point right now, you're not missing anything behind me. The only thing I really see is that sheriff's car right there and that car over there. But as I was driving in down the road, Spirit Lake, if you've ever been here, you know it's a very small town. The entire main road was
It's
just
so
filled
bad.
with police lights. Right now, I probably counted around 20 police cars as I came here. Right now, they're not giving many updates. They did say no officer has been injured in this. We don't know what agency the officer involved shooting has.
I think the cameraman hates him. It's gotta be that.
But we know that
Oh,
Spirit
no.
Lake does have a small police department here, but that the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office comes in at times to help them with larger events. So we don't know which agency or if either of those agencies was involved in this officer-involved shooting. So right now, we're just waiting for more information. I'm going to go around, try to get a little bit more of the scene for you guys, and hopefully provide you with an update shortly. In Spirit Lake tonight, Adam Schwager, Nonstop Local.
Thanks so much, Adam.
Wait,
And
go
I
back.
do want to
How do
add
you
to
pronounce
that they
the
are
name?
evacuating some nearby
Kootenai.
apartments
Kootenai?
Yeah, Kootenai.
Kootenai.
there. This is off of, again, Highway 41 in Spirit Lake, 4th and Jefferson area. So please just give officers room to work there.
So that's they all of a sudden stopped having information come out. I hope a cop didn't get shot. You know, lock everything down.
It says there's been no reports of an injured officer so far, though.
Well, I hope. Annie said we made her sit up.
That's funny.
The hair is so absurd.
You know, Mark, I question the same thing. Will anybody see, you know, what everybody's doing, all the investigation everybody's doing online? Will they ever see it? Will they ever take it into account? And in past cases, they have. I don't know, though. I don't know if it'll ever amount to anything. I think it's, you know, so I see this narrative, okay, that average citizens should not be on here talking about these things because they're not qualified. I say F that. That is so ridiculous. I think that any average citizen should be involved in their government and justice system. That is literally what the American Constitution wanted. That is what our founders had in their minds when they wrote it. When they wrote that document that gave us all of these rights, that made our country great, that's what they wanted. They want us to be able to hold our government accountable so that we didn't have to deal with the BS that was going on in England with the monarchy.
Yeah.
There's a reason average citizens are in the jury.
Yeah.
Any of us could be a juror at any time. We should be invested in these things. Does everyone have to be like a true crime junkie? No. I don't know that I would even classify myself as a true crime junkie. Like, I listen to it with a purpose, you know? Like,
No, I'd say I'm a true crime junkie.
I don't know if I would say that, go that far. I listen to it with a purpose, and it's just, I feel like that term is one of those terms that can divide the room in some cases, and I don't see anything wrong with like wanting to listen to true crime. There's a reason it's so popular, but also it doesn't mean you're just in it for an entertainment value. Like, people listen to it because they care too.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think there's anything wrong with watching it or being involved in it in entertainment value, because even if it's your entertainment and you prefer that over mainstream media, it is still better entertainment than watching a fake TV show. You are learning, you are finding out what's going on in your community. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of added benefits to it.
Mm-hmm.
That even if someone is like, yes, I do this for instead of watching TV, there is nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
No. And I wasn't trying to say there is anything wrong. I kind of botched what I was trying to say a little bit, but I think you guys got my point. I just think it's silly to act like average people can't talk about it, that we shouldn't be trying to learn about these things and how the government and the justice system works. There's nothing wrong with it. If anything, it's a positive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys, I mean,
Right.
I think most people have seen Don't F with Cats.
Yeah.
There are positives to it, but anything out there, whether it's dope and alcohol, tobacco, caffeine, working out, anything can develop an addiction of sorts. And I think the consumption of true crime could be that too, because it gets your endorphins going, getting these ideas going, your brain working, and it could develop some sort of an addiction. Now, there are healthy addictions, there are unhealthy addictions. As long as you're managing it and it's not managing you, then it's a healthy addiction. You know, I have to be obsessive. Because of my ADHD, if I don't control and allow myself to obsess on something, then it's going to take control of me, and I'm going to obsess on things that I shouldn't be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
true. And yeah, Mikey, that's a great comment. There's a lot riding on this one with people's rights, DNA, new technology, all precedents to be set. Your rights are a big part of this now and later on. And I totally agree with that. It does. Every case sets the precedent for the future.
yes.
And you never know when you could be caught up in something. You really don't. Yep.
Do you guys think that if they asked AI,
if we
that it would figure out who the killer is?
Fed in all evidence into some kind of AI, and then it can't be
That would be
biased though.
Interesting.
You can't feed it biased information. It's got to be straight up facts.
Yeah. That would be messed up if you're going to AI to get a theory and you give it biased information.
Well, if we fed it all the current evidence in this case, it's all slanted to BK, so it wouldn't be fair.
But that's why, like, you can't. It's either everything or nothing. Those are the only choices.
Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, Lisa, I get that. I understand that not liking when creators say for entertainment purposes only, but they say that for legal reasons.
Yeah, they do say it for legal reasons.
It's not like it's just yeah, it's legal.
Yeah.
It's just so they can't get sued.
Yeah. So, like under YouTube, we put ours under entertainment just because we're a talk show. We're talking about theory. We aren't like going out there investigating, which would be under learning or
Education.
education. Yep, it would be under education. While watching our channel, I think this is educational. I walk away from here knowing more than when I walked in, and I hope you guys do the same too. That is education. That is learning, but it is also entertaining while we do that and keep a beat on our community and talk about these topics that are very important. And I just see all beneficial things around it, you know.
Yeah, good comments, guys. Exactly. All of this. People should be aware.
no.
And I think they see it that way too, Tam, that they see us as everybody who talks this case online as okay, here, let me just say this. They always ask for help from the public and sleuths when they don't have a lead, when
Yep.
they're desperate, and they really appreciate the help. And then as soon as they're on the case, they got a lead and they're on it, they're like F off to everybody.
Yep.
And
they
gag
sure
it
do.
up. They cut everybody off, and then they start talking crap on sleuths. And so distasteful. I despise it. I really wish they didn't do that.
Yeah, it's awful.
It just makes the public turn on them. Why do they like you can't have it both ways? And I'm reasonable. I know that when they're doing an investigation that it shouldn't all be out there during the time of the investigation. But when you make an arrest, at that point, I think it should be pretty transparent.
I agree with you. I agree. If you are influencing people, think about how that looks and watch yourself and read your chat. Simple as far as, yeah.
Yeah, and that's an issue we have with people that go around telling other people how they should manage their channel, the way they do things. I don't like when anyone does that.
Mhm.
We don't ever want to come on here and be like a moral police or be like, this is how you should run things. And I don't mean to call anyone out specifically, but that was an issue I kind of took with Murder Sheet when they came out with the leak information. I really didn't like that they
offended people. What they were saying was offensive.
They told everybody to not engage in any speculation, and I don't know, treated everyone like a bunch of kids, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah,
they presented themselves as like the moral authority. They have ties with police there, and and other law enforcement there, and I don't know. They've kind of put a flag down, like this is ours. I just don't appreciate it too much.
Yeah, and we're firm believers that you can say anything as long as you say it respectfully. As long as you say it respectfully.
J-Ray, your comment just made me crack up. That's super funny.
All right, guys, I think that is it for the show tonight. We appreciate all of you. Now, we did put all of our social medias in here while Malia was talking. So we got our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, our YouTube membership, and we do have more membership videos coming out, and we are going to be, especially once we go full-time, we will be doing membership videos weekly. So yeah, we're glad you did, Michelle. Welcome. But yeah, we appreciate all of you being here. And just a reminder, we are
on every podcast provider. So we are not just on YouTube. We are everywhere on everything, talking about everything all at once. So we have the True Crime Talk Show, the True Crime Talk Show. We are Thought Riot Podcast, the True Crime and Criminal Culture. We're on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, everything. So come check us out there, and we appreciate all of you.
Yes, thank you to every single one of you guys being here tonight. It was a good one. It was a good one. Lots of talking and going back and forth.
It
It's
was
always
a
the
good
goal.
one. And hopefully tomorrow, I'm pretty sure tomorrow we will be talking about some of the drug theories. So check it out. I am going to do my best to get it posted early, so keep an eye out for that. And we always stream at the same time, so we try and keep it at that. And if it changes, we let people know ahead of time to the best of our ability. But keep an eye out for that. It should be a good conversation.
Yep. And we don't remove comments, Gary. Like, if I'm going to remove your comment, time you out, or block you, any of those, I will let you know. I
Yep.
will say it. I will say, hey, I don't like what you're doing there. But I've literally only done that to 2 people since we started. Like,
Yep.
ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
And both times it was stated, so
Yep.
beforehand.
So if you notice a comment not popping up, you may be putting in a trigger word that YouTube doesn't like. Maybe somebody else that's watching reported your comment. I don't know exactly how that works, because I don't think I've ever reported a comment. But I don't know. Other than that, I'm not sure. I'm sorry that it was removed, but it definitely wasn't on our side. I would definitely let you know. But thank you guys for all the love.
There you go, the YouTube membership, Eric.
Yep.
Right there. But yeah, thank you guys all for all the love. We appreciate it. And yeah, for the comment stuff, it's just set to auto. Whatever the middle security setting is for YouTube, it's just set in the middle, you guys. So I know sometimes it will pull comments out. I would just reword it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even show us.
Yep. Have a great night.
All right, you guys, this is the True Crime Talk Show, the one and only. My name's Brendan.
And I am Malia.
And we are out.
Bye.